What we've been working on with the girls is trying to grow the team to be more involved with athletics and being a competitive team. We did our first competitions last year, and it went really great. It was an amazing learning experience. It taught us a lot about what we needed to work on as a team. One of the things that we really got to do is we challenged ourselves to be dancing at a higher level. We've been working with the girls on choreography and really pushing our limits as a team.
Well, we went to camp this year, which we didn't do last year, and I think that was a really good bonding experience because it was a kind of a tough camp, and so we all kind of struggled together and kind of brought us together.
For practice, we normally get up, and our practices are from 6 to 8 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then tomorrow we have pep rally, so we have a little bit of a practice before that. Saturdays is when the game is, and so we'll practice early in the morning on the field. We go to the tailgate, and then we perform.
It's very exciting because it's the first time our freshmen are going to perform for the school, and so they're going to dance for the crowd and have fun.
For us, we're planning on being almost there for every game. We're planning to keep it peppy, making sure the crowd is with us, and just excited overall.
What we're really trying to get people to see us as is the energy at the games. We want to be part of that group along with the band that's really building people up and getting them excited to be just in that whole atmosphere.
My name is Erin Atala. My major is biomedical engineering. I'm a freshman and I'm in the LTU marching band. I'd really like to go to Italy one day because I've been to Europe before and it's beautiful. M&Ms because I really like chocolate. Pineapple does not belong on pizza because I don't like pineapple and I don't think the flavors fit well together at all. My favorite thing about Lawrence Tech is the class size. I really like that they're small and personal and get to know your classmates and your teacher and ask them questions.
We are holding our prospect camp, and we open it up from 7th grade all the way up to seniors, going into their senior year. And we're holding it here at Troy Athens High School, and we got a gorgeous day for it. What it is people who have the dream of playing college softball. And for us, we have some people who are extremely interested in LTU that have come to the camp, or that they're looking to go on to college and play college softball. We go over It's more of advanced drills than just basic drills that we try to do here today.
I really like the prospect camp because there's always a lot of energy with these younger girls, so we get to help them out and grow their skills more, and we get to have fun while we're doing it and teach them like a lot of cool things that Coach Baird showed us.
My favorite thing is they always have a lot of energy. They always have, they're always high-fiving each other, and they talk a lot, and that's probably my favorite part.
We try and bring what we teach the younger kids to our fields. Like if there's something that our teammates aren't understanding, like we try and teach them like we would to teach the younger kids.
So we've got 2 freshmen here today, Aaron and Rylan. And I just met Aaron today, and we're already clicking, and it really helps us to kind of learn each other's teaching styles. So it really helps us know how I learn, how Sarah learns. Like I learn different than Sarah, and it helps us to help each other.
I want the players here more than probably me. When they see the players doing the drills and being a part of it, it's for our players not only to give back to the game of softball, but also for our players to understand like the coaching aspect and how you do the drills and break down the drills. And our players do an awesome job with it.
So Grace, I'd like to start out by saying welcome to the Lawrence Tech family. What emotions are you feeling right now as this starts to settle in and really become a reality?
I'm excited. I'm honored and humbled that Scott and the committee believed in me and my vision, and I'm excited and ready to get started.
Grace, when this job opening first came available, I guess what was the initial thought of why it might be a good fit for you?
I've been a part of the WAC as a player and a coach for 7 years. I'm really familiar with it and the competition and Lawrence Tech's players, the roster that they have returning. And so it was an attractive job to me, and I wanted to be back home in my roots.
How would you describe your coaching and recruiting philosophies?
I really think Coach Kai did a great job of establishing, going after driven character young women that are driven on the basketball court and in the classroom. And that's really what I want to continue to look for when we're fitting the LTU mold.
What stood out to you most about Grace during this process?
I think just her attitude and her enthusiasm. She seems like a real go-getter. She's going to have her work cut out. Recruiting in our conference is pretty tough, but I think she comes with a great background of recruiting a high student athlete, great GPA, so that's what kind of set her apart from the other candidates.
Conference, how tough it's gotten for Lawrence Tech women's basketball now, back-to-back 21 seasons. We had a first-team All-American last year in Nicole Buckingham, the WAC Newcomer of the Year in Kendall Fisher. What are your expectations of this group moving forward?
I expect her to pick up the ball and take off right where they left off. We have a lot of great talent coming back. We did lose a couple of key players, but I expect other people to step up, just like any team, right? Everyone's got to step up and do their role. Coach is going to come right in and get her hands dirty. It's going to be year one, so it's always going to be a different transition, with a new team and a new coach. So we'll see how it goes.
Dahlia. I'm playing for LTU women's soccer, and I'm majoring biomedical engineering. My favorite movie is the Titanic, because every time when I'd go over to my grandma's house, we'd watch it together and eat ice cream every time we went. No matter if it was like 3 times a week, we'd watch the Titanic. My favorite hype-up song is Upgrade You by Beyonce, because it's really upbeat and I love Beyonce. My favorite thing to do in my spare time is either watch Netflix, hang out with friends, or read if I'm interested in a book, which usually I'm not, but sometimes I am. There's small occasions where it happens.
I grew up in Detroit and then moved to Farmington Hills. So I went to Central for a few years and then went to Wayne State and have a civil engineering degree, environmental engineering degree, and a couple masters as well, civil and environmental, with interest in chemistry as well. 30 years of coaching a women's team. Again, another interesting thing. It takes a different approach and a lot of psychology. My wife, Michaeline, is a psychologist, so that helps out a ton. I bring a lot of that in as well. So we started out this summer coming off our best spring that we've had, so we made some improvements. We did really well spring ball, competed really well with some Division II teams, which is a step up for us. And then we had a specific finite role of people that we needed to fill for 2019, and I think we got a good incoming crew to do that. We've hosted more recruit days on campus than we ever have for 19 and 20. We've had over 12 2020s on campus already, so that's one of those things, and they're juniors now, so that's really good. We have a core group of great leadership kids and great seniors this year. I mean, it just absolutely is easy to coach them. So a lot of those successes and that stuff, we set the process, we steer a little bit as coaching staff, and their foot's on the gas. Always challenging for the girls, and it's not anything the same old, it's always new and always, again, making them comfortable being uncomfortable. That's kind of the cool part. One that I put up on the board already is play in December. That means you made it to nationals, and I think that's a realistic goal. You either got to win the conference outright or you got to win the tournament at the end. So you got 2 shots at that. And I think that's one of those things that if I can get the leadership, the junior seniors hungry about, I think it's a doable, achievable goal.
Time now to take a look inside Lawrence Technological University. Fresh off of a busy summer, one of LTU's finest came into the studio to discuss what he was up to over the break.
Over the past couple of years, I've been able to work with a website called DetroitSportsMedia.com, and I work with them as an on-camera reporter. So this summer, I did some work with the Tigers, and I had the opportunity to do an interview with Daniel Norris, one of their pitchers, and he's just such an incredible, wide-ranging personality. So it was some good exposure and an excellent experience when it comes to interviewing.
While thriving with the Detroit Sports Media Group, Jason has also had his hands full going above and beyond as the voice of LTU athletics.
So Lawrence Tech has been certainly a vital part of my career so far. At a young age, they've allowed me to get repetitions doing up to 8 different sports. We do mostly TV broadcasts here, and they allow me to work with my play-by-play, which again is what I want to do more than anything in my life. I just love the rush of it, love the thrill of it. It's almost indescribable. I love to study it. It's like an art form. Again, we do TV play-by-play here, so I kind of consider that to be like the score to a movie. You think of a movie, and it's really, you see the pictures, but it's the sound that makes it come alive. Lawrence Tech gives me an incredible platform to be able to work on my passion.
Here's a taste of what you might be listening to in the near future on Call for Detroit Professional Sports.
My heart is beating. The heart of Don Riddler Fieldhouse is beating. Another chance to close this one out. Christy Doherty. Isabella McDonald off the 10-foot line. Back set here to Labar. Doherty, the junior setter, to the junior Gramakova. Sprawling to no avail, and the Blue Devils have done it. They have captured the elusive feat of beating the Madonna Crusaders. They've done it in 4 sets. What a night on senior night.
For more information, go to LTUathletics.com and tune into all of their live-streamed home games to hear Jason Ross Jr. on the call. Student athletes from LTU have been known to go above and beyond off the field, and this week we caught up with one of the men's soccer team captains to talk about a pretty cool opportunity he had this summer.
So back in December, our graduate assistant coach, Paulo Ripotas, he informed me of this opportunity with the American Red Cross that he participated in back in the summer 2016. And this past June, 12 other students and myself, all from the NAIA, all student athletes, we went to the American Red Cross headquarters in downtown Washington.
Kicking off for the visiting Saints, number 45, Alec Keelan. Deep to receive for Lawrence Tech, number 2, Kendall Williams.
Welcome into LTSN, another edition of Blue Devil football. Back on a fall Saturday into the depths of October, Jason Ross Jr. alongside Dylan Morello, a beautiful 60-degree day. You couldn't ask for better weather. We are underway in this Mid-East League matchup, and the flag will fly in the early goings as the officials get involved right away. The Blue Devils will have some extra yardage starting out today. Siena Heights won the toss but deferred. Dylan, pleasure to be back with you for this big one. Blue Devils at 1-4 on the season, looking for their first conference win ever in the Mid-East League. On the other side, Siena Heights coming in at 5-1, their best start in program history.
Yeah, well, Jason, it's for sure going to be a tough one today. As you mentioned, Siena Heights 5-1 on the season. They're coming off an outstanding 42-0 win against Taylor. Netsch led that game, going for 11 for 13, 159 yards and 2 touchdowns going through the air. So expect him to be another key factor in this one. Blue Devils offense, though, starting off the game, trying to build that homecoming energy right now. Be good to get a first score on the first drive.
And Tyler Colquhoun at QB starting once again has Hinton in his first game back after missing the last couple with a knee injury, has a knee brace on that knee, and he's back. They're happy he's back. Talked to Coach Duvendeck right before this one about him returning to the lineup, and he said he adds an element of an extra dimension. He's explosive. He's a threat on every play. We have Kendall Williams on the other side. Pleasure to have him back. That's a 14-yard gain on first down.
Yeah, definitely the way you want to start off the game. And today is that homecoming, so use that crowd, use that energy to try to lead them to victory. Blue Devils, they're on a 3-game losing streak right now. They lost their last outing 45-10. The bright spot in that game was Kendall Williams. He led the team with 5 catches, so expect him to play dividends in this one. And trying to get the Blue Devils on the board right away off the bat.
Makai Otero picks up a few on first down. Make it 2nd and 7. Otero, the starting running back today. Blue Devils dealing with some injury problems at running back. Ahmad Sabaw still out for a couple of weeks with that MCL injury. And then Tanner Foley, reoccurring neck injuries. One of their leading producers offensively. He'll be out for the rest of the season. But the Blue Devils really want to establish that passing game today against this #1 defense in the country. Kolka pumps under pressure out of a tight pocket, just has to let it go. Well short of the intended target, Kendall Williams. Once again, Blue Devils coming in at 1-4 on the season. As Dylan mentioned, trying to snap this losing streak into a very difficult part of the schedule, into the teeth of the schedule, down to the final home stretch here. Under head coach Jeff Duvendeck in his second full season. On the Siena Heights side, Matt Cohn entering his 3rd year, and they have really built up this program in such a gradual way, but a very concise build-up just in his 3rd year, and they're already on pace to set a program record for wins. Meanwhile, offensively, it's the Florida native, Kendall Williams, making his first reception of the game on 3rd down.
Griffin Sobel and Cole Merlin on the stop for Siena Heights.
Blue Devils right now clicking at 39% on 3rd down conversions. Let's see if they could try to move the chains here.
Looks like they're going to perhaps get aggressive early. On 4th and 6, Lawrence Tech going for it on the Siena Heights 48. Kolka will just let it go. You're expecting maybe a boot there. Looking for some trickery and receiving that back inside his own 19 was Gabe Callery.
Good play there. We expected, like you mentioned, a little bit of the trickery. Would have been good if the Blue Devils kind of used that energy, try to go for it, but nonetheless, they're going to get some good field position defensively here. Try to stop Siena Heights in their first possession of the game. That's going to be key here, playing with the lead, especially trying to keep the fans and especially the team energized right off the bat. They're going to need it. A big stop here would be advantageous for their squad.
Tyler Necht, the quarterback.
So that brings out Tyler Necht for his first drive on the road today. His first ever matchup between Siena Heights and Lawrence Tech, the redshirt sophomore from King Mills, Ohio. 11 of 13 last week. He's an ultra-efficient quarterback, 159 through the air, but they go to the ground quite a bit. Right away, we see Caleb Jefferson wearing number 10 today, or 28 a week ago. He's their leading producer, coming off his second 100-plus yard running game of the season. Siena Heights coming off a 42-0 win over Taylor. It is their largest output of the season offensively, their second shutout of the season. Mentioned that number one defense in the country scoring-wise, but here's the offense, and Caleb Jefferson with room off the left side, galloping to the second level, hits the 40, and he might go down to the 5 into the end zone. Caleb Jefferson, a big burst right out of the gates. It's a 79-yard run, and that's what you're looking for. Caleb Jefferson had 125 last week. Picks up 79, already above 80 on the day today within just a couple of plays.
Yeah, right there. You just saw the stutter step in the backfield by Jefferson. He really just had his head up, read the play in front of him. He saw that opening on the left outside, and he took it down the field. 79 yards, not how the defense wanted to start off this one, Jason, but it's what they have to do.
Well, the extra point is up and through. We will apologize for a quick momentary delay there, having some technical difficulties. I believe we are ready to go now. Okay. Jason Ross Jr. back with Dylan Morello. 12:09 to go in this first quarter. And it only took a couple of plays for Caleb Jefferson to make his imprint. The Blue Devil rushing defense really struggled a couple of weeks ago on this home field. Gave up over 400 yards, 421 to be exact, in that game against St. Francis of Illinois. This is not where they wanted to start off defensively. They'll set up for their second offensive possession here. It'll be Kendall Williams back to return. And set to kick off Alec Thielen. Out comes the Lantuses Florida native. Had a bit of an opening, but it was closed promptly by the incoming Marquise Robinson.
Robinson lays a big hit there to the O's of the crowd, and that's the beautiful thing about football, though. If you do mess up, you're going to have another play, another possession to try to make up for it. That's what the Blue Devils have in front of them, an opportunity to try tie this game up. And we mentioned in the interlude that it's going to be a tough task. Siena Heights 5-1, strong outing, got their shutout last game. So you know their defense is up to the task here. Let's see what the Blue Devils have cooking, though.
First and 10 from their own 23. They go to Otero on first down. He's bottled up by this rushing defense that is the best in the conference. Able to pick up 3 yards there. Spoke to one of the Siena Heights cornerback coaches before the game started, and he just said they trust each other. It's not about one guy. It's about getting the ball. They pursue things so well, and oftentimes you see that on the field. It's evident because there's a lot of gang tackling. They meet the ball so well, and they're unselfish. They just play so hard, and you can see it every day in practice. It's kind of what the coaches echoed before the game in our meetings. And this Blue Devil offense, a tall task today. But the offensive line has been one of their strong suits. Kind of a best-on-best situation here. Who can win? How long can Tyler Koka stay comfortable? That time able to find C.J. Thompson for a first down gain up to the 39.
Yeah, that's a good play. Just get the chains moving, get the confidence going. C.J. Thompson, big outing last time here at home, a couple of touchdowns. Good possession plays by him, catching and being able to get the yardage that the Blue Devils need. And I think that's going to be key here as we've seen the Blue Devil offense, once they get a couple of unsuccessful drives, it kind of rattles them a bit. So they're trying to get it now.
Out of the gun in a 4-receiver set. Kolka well protected. Now he'll roll out of the pocket and he'll take off. Able to scoot his way to the 47. We were wondering coming into this one if we would see more through the air from the Blue Devils this time out. Oftentimes they'll try to establish that passing game by running the ball first, but going up against a defense like this, Dylan, maybe an extra incentive to hit the air a bit more often today.
Yeah, especially, I mean, they read up on the plays, they read up on the books of the opposing team, and a rushing defense that's so strong in the Saints. You really have to divert to the air, and that's going to be a challenge here the Blue Devils are going to face and have to head on.
This time it is a look on the ground, setting up blocks for Otero. Running behind C.J. Thompson and motoring the legs. Looks like he's going to have a first down here. So a gain of 5, and that'll set them up shop inside of Siena Heights territory. Just inside at the 49.
Yeah, that was actually Ben Britton on the carry, so he's able to plow through a couple bodies, and he gains another first down for the Blue Devils, and that's what you need as well, just a long possession as the defense could rest up and try to figure out what to do on the next play.
Ben Britton has been slotted into the offense with the injuries to the running back core in his third game play. This time they go back to the air. It's the ultra-reliable target, C.J. Thompson, on a gain of 5. Tyler Kolka's second tallest target at 6'4", just kind of has that tight end build.
Yeah, Thompson is one of their leaders and really has shined throughout this season. Blue Devils not doing too well, and he's one of the bright spots there that you could really rely on. Kolka using him in all facets. And once the ball's in his hands, you know some yardage and big plays are bound to happen.
They look pretty calm in the early goings, do the Blue Devils. Last week it was the inability to execute and protect the ball in that 45-10 loss to Indiana Wesleyan. Britton again into the teeth of the defense. Brought down right after a gain of about 5. And it'll be 3rd and 6 here. Stahl and Merlin combining on the stop for Siena Heights, and Makai Otero will make his way back into the game. Blue Devils have been pretty decent on 3rd down so far this season. Struggled a week ago, though, to continue drives in positions like this. 3rd and manageable on the Siena Heights 45. Kolka, the ball is loose on the turf, and Siena Heights pounces on it on a mishandled snap. Able to jump on it, Nick Stallworth, the Clarkston, Michigan native. And right on cue, Dylan, speaking of inability to execute in these situations, what they wanted to clean up 3 turnovers a week ago, there's one on a drive that looked somewhat promising.
Yeah, it's one of those things you definitely don't want to see there. You kind of said it and mentioned it right on cue. The Blue Devils had a drive that was looking good, getting down the field nicely, and it's terrible when it ends like that, and especially the good field position now that the Saints have to get back down the field.
Well, there is a very slim margin of error against an opponent like this. Siena Heights ranked 21st in the country. Lawrence Tech at 1-4, looking for their first conference victory. Already an early turnover. Back to the ground, Caleb Jefferson right off that 79-yard run to open up the scoring just a couple of plays in. 7:45 to go in this opening quarter. That's the difference right now. He was tripped up by Daniel Max, one of the more tenacious linebackers in the conference for Lawrence Tech. Feels like there are a few guys in this LTU defense that just have to have a big game today, maybe a bit bigger than usual. Daniel Max is one of those guys. The Saints make an adjustment. See quite a few adjustments at the line of scrimmage with this offense. They fake the pass, go to the ground. Jefferson once again. That time just a gain of 2.
Andre Chenault, the ball carrier for Siena Heights.
Siena Heights team with a plethora of different options at the running back position. Really went off on the ground a week ago. Ethan Lepresto, Andre Chenault, Caleb Jefferson. They can all kind of mix those guys in. Jefferson is the #1 running back in the rotation. He's back in the game now. That time, the Lawrence Tech defense able to draw from some cheers from this Blue Devil faithful, trying to urge their team on. A really nice crowd today. It's our homecoming game here at Lawrence Tech, part of a homecoming week. It's been a very busy schedule. First of our triple header on LTSN. We'll have men's and women's soccer later today, as LTU is able to get what feels like a big stop there, and they'll force Siena Heights to punt.
Yeah, definitely a big stop, especially after on the first drive, the Saints really came out of the gates blazing, got on the scoreboard, and that's exactly what they needed. The defense sat on the sideline there, figured it out, and they were able to stop that run.
Siena Heights looking to keep the field position in their favor. It's Kendall Williams at his own 11, and that's where Tyler Kolka and company will take over.
Shouldn't be that discouraging as the Saints started near their own 11, were able to get a big play, and that's all the Blue Devils need, just a nice play to get them down the field, get some reps going, the confidence brimming. You mentioned homecoming game, get the energy back in the fans. You saw how the defense there was able to get some of that momentum back, and that's the type of game that it is. The momentum swings can turn the tide in your favor. The Blue Devils have to get it back on their side now.
Well, last week against Indiana Wesleyan for Lawrence Tech, it was kind of a back-and-forth first half. They trailed 14-10 at halftime, but it was an unanswered, my apologies, 21-10 at halftime, but then it was an unanswered 24 points in the second half for Indiana Wesleyan. It's kind of the second year in a row that Lawrence Tech just kind of fell apart in the second half against the Wildcats. And 2 losses to Indiana Wesleyan a year ago. It's a short gain on first down. That'll bring up 2nd and 8. Kolka and the Blue Devil offense looking for some breathing room. Under pressure early and just has to throw it away there. In on the pressure is Alante Alston, the junior defensive lineman. This is a menacing defensive line, and they really can rotate bodies in and out. They'll play up to 7 to 10 guys, maybe even more than that, on that front. As Ben Britton comes in for 3rd and 9. Kind of an obvious passing down situation here. And talking to this Siena Heights coaching staff prior to the game, it's really a mentality of take away the run, and everything else will take care of itself. Blue Devils at their own 12. They'll set up blocks for Kolka. Well protected, but just has to dump it over the middle to Ben Britton, and he's brought down well short of the first down marker. That field position now favoring Siena Heights, as the Blue Devils will have to punt from deep in their own half of the field.
Yeah, you said take away the run, everything takes care of itself, and there Kolka resorting to the throw, and still the Blue Devils caught in the backfield. They're going to have to kick this one away, and Siena Heights will get the ball right back, so a quick 3 and out, now with the Blue Devils want to drill up there.
Kaylee back to receive for the Saints. He'll let this one hop, and it might have been touched. Inadvertently on the Siena Heights side of things, they will give it to the Saints. Near mishap there.
Yeah, the ball bounced off the field, looked like it hit off the back heel of one of the Saints, and they pounce on it right away. Good heads-up awareness there to get the ball back, and they'll start in the Blue Devil half of the field.
They'll take over at the 45.
Saints will start at the 45-yard line. Tyler next.
Blue Devils already had 1 turnover earlier in this one on the drive. It was probably the most promising of this opening period so far. Down inside of Siena Heights territory to about the 45. and a fumble. They were able to get the stop on the ensuing drive, but now Tyler Necht and Caleb Jefferson back there once again in that threatening backfield. They go to the air. Necht looking to the direction of Kreider. Steps up. Now steps out and gets hit after a gain of 2. Some pretty decent coverage downfield that time for Lawrence Tech. Riddle and Max on the stop there for Lawrence Tech.
Next, one of those QBs, too. They like Kolka on the previous possessions, able to get out of the pocket and use his own feet. Blue Devils got to be aware of that. They do a good job only allowing 2 yards there.
Yeah, talking to their coaching staff before the game, they described him as a guy who's very comfortable, very composed, a guy who manages the game. And it's a very managed kind of offense. They like to establish the ground. They've done that so far. Here is Caleb Jefferson ahead, this time for a gain of 4 to set up what will be 3rd and 5. Robbie Best with the tackle, a guy who missed the first couple of weeks of the season, one of their best linebackers, had some concussion issues stemming from practice, was wearing sunglasses throughout those first couple of weeks of the season to negate the results of the concussion, some of the side effects. They're happy to have him back, and they'll need guys like him to come up big in this matchup against the 21st ranked team in the country. Necht under pressure, dumps it off in the passing lane. Knocking that away was the freshman Xavier McDonald, who they really like. That'll set up 4th down, and the Blue Devils get this offense off the field for the 2nd consecutive possession in important spots, backed up into their own territory.
Yeah, that makes the Saints now 28 for 77 on 3rd down conversions, only 37%. Blue Devils definitely trying to put a staple in that mark as they've done it so far, and I love the way the defense has responded after giving up that early TD.
Resiliency is one thing they're looking for out of this young Lawrence Tech group. That was a bit awkward. Down at the 10. Get a pile on the ball. I believe a Lawrence Tech player might have touched that. They're still in search of who has it. This would be a crucial mistake. If it is Siena Heights football, a mental mistake there. Dylan, it almost looked like a Lawrence Tech player slapped the ball as he was kind of covered up by a Siena Heights player, and the Saints will take right back over. That was very peculiar.
Yeah, it seemed like Marquez Steele back there. Or, excuse me, Kendall Williams may have been back there to try to get it, and he was trying to gain some body position, but he extended the right arm and slapped it into the turf, and that's just a mental mistake you don't want to even have. I mean, it would have been bad field position, but better than giving up the ball to the Saints.
Yeah, they had a big stop there for the 2nd consecutive drive. Now here's Caleb Jefferson breaking a tackle, breaking 2, and finding the end zone for the 2nd time today. An 11-yard carry, and Caleb Jefferson has already surpassed 100 yards.
Yeah, broke the tackle and broke the plane there, and that's exactly the turnover that you don't want to have. The Blue Devils, that's their 2nd here tonight, and it's one that's going to cost them this time, though, on the scoreboard.
Wow, a mental lapse that just has this crowd absolutely perplexed. A punt, and at their own 10-yard line, the Blue Devils inadvertently touch it on the receiving end. So Siena Heights takes it right back over at the 11 and makes it a 2-score game.
It's one of those things, too, with only 2:42 left in the first quarter. If you could get out of the first quarter only giving up 1 touchdown, maybe a mental boost for your team, as we know the reputation the Saints have, high-scoring offense, low allowing score defense, and right there the Blue Devils kind of maybe might be in their own heads right now. And it's tough to see as, once again, the fans here trying to cheer on the team. You get that good stop defensively. They go to punt it, and you give it right back into their grasp. Not a recipe for success.
Did kind of feel like a moment where they were trying to do a little too much, didn't it? I mean, Dylan, in your experience with games like this, trying to pull off a big win over a team that's coming in ranked, you know that you're the underdog. What's the mentality like? How do you calm down?
Yeah, I was exactly about to say that, the underdog mentality. You kind of like being in those positions because if you do upset the team, we've seen it in soccer already this year, being the underdog, just fulfilling that. But the calm and the nerves definitely have to be setting in. You have the energy, of course, of the opening, but then in that drive, the Saints come right down and score, so that kind of zaps it away from you, and you just have to build with the teammates around you to try to boost your morale. And right there, a tough play like that isn't going to help. But like I said before in the beginning score, that you have a lot of game left to try to make up for it.
Thielen's kick into the arms of Kendall Williams, who turns the corner for a pretty decent return. Out to the 35, and that's where Tyler Kolka will set up shop. But, I mean, before the season started, look at today. You have a big crowd, homecoming weekend. The pressure is on, going up against the number 21 team in the country. And before the season, head coach Jeff Duvendek told us that that inexperience is the primary hurdle to try to overcome. And these moments against these teams, you never played Siena Heights before, it's an inherently new scenario for you. And you're just trying to do things that you haven't done in the past and trying to do it on a big stage. You're down 14 now at home, 2:36 to go in the opening quarter. Couple of mistakes already, another low snap. Kolka picks it up. Near danger once again.
Yeah, and right there, once again, the inexperience maybe kicking in. But at this point in the season, the sixth game for the Blue Devils, I'm thinking of it more as an excuse there. They already had 6 games under their belt. They're going to have to start buying into the system and figuring it out. As once again, botch snap there, the second of the game. They're going to have to dial in. Right now, it just seems kind of lackadaisical focus all around.
It's a loss of 4 back to their own 31. Cannot set yourself behind against a team like this. Kolka pumps, able to elude the initial pressure, but then gets engulfed by the Siena Heights defense that just pursues with a relentless mentality.
Yeah, that's their 22nd sack on the season, so you know they love to get in the backfield, touch the QB. And Kolka right there, he pump fake, got around 1, but you can't get around 5. And you mentioned before, Jason, how this team, talking to their coaching staff, they just love to play clustered together. You see the combined tackles that they have, and right there just shows proof of it. Blue Devils now hemmed well back with 22 yards to go to get a first down here on this third.
And it feels like that mental mistake maybe carrying over to this offensive drive. Kolka will just have to take off here, and this will set up another punt for the LTU offense. Siena Heights team comes into today with the #1 scoring defense in the country, just allowing 6.3 points per game, and we've played 6 weeks. They've had some incredible numbers, incredible success. It's the MO of this group. And for the Blue Devils, kind of reiterating the fact that you just cannot set yourself behind against them, so the self-inflicted mistakes are a bit amplified this week. And next week, I mentioned this is a tough part of the schedule, getting into the teeth of this MSFA Mid-East League schedule. You have the #2 defense in the country next week against Marion, averaging 7 points per game, Dylan. So this is the difficult part of the schedule for this offense. We'll see if they can come out and improve. Right now, the defense will take over against the Siena Heights offense that is cruising on the ground right now in the early goings.
Yeah, this league is unforgiving, and if you're going to take an off week, it's going to come back to haunt you. And the Blue Devils right now, a little bit behind the 8 ball on this season, still have time to at least turn it around, gain some momentum, try to work on some more things. You mentioned a couple of injuries on the offense. The running back core has kind of been depleted, but players have to step up and fill those roles.
Next, taking over to zone 32, as Kreider on the near side of the field, able to get out to the 40. That's a nice gain of 7. Dylan, you touched on the league. The Siena Heights team, one of 4 ranked teams in the Mid-East side of the conference alone. Marion at 3rd in the country, Concordia at 10, Siena Heights at 21, and St. Francis at 7. That'll be the end of the first. Feels like a big game for the Siena Heights team with #7 St. Francis of Indiana next week, and they're off to a pretty nice start, capitalizing on mistakes and a thrilling start to the game on the ground from Caleb Jefferson and company. 14-zip after 1 quarter of play in favor of the Saints. You're watching Blue Devil football on LTSN. Welcome back to LTSN. 5 seconds into the second quarter of play. 14-0 after 1. It was Caleb Jefferson finding the end zone twice, 99 yards in that first quarter on the ground for Jefferson. Averaged 16.5 per carry, had that 79-yard burst to the end zone just 3 plays in to open up the scoring. Siena Heights was looking deep there for the first time this afternoon. King was the intended receiver. Now they have 3rd and short. And open up the playbook here. They go to Jefferson as expected, able to burst past the initial contact and tumbles his way down inside of Blue Devil territory to the 43.
That's something the Blue Devils have been trying to work on in practice, is getting that first contact and tackling the opposing players on that first body contact. And right there, it doesn't happen. The Saints get a first down and some extra yardage as well.
Blue Devils gave up 421 yards on the ground the last time they played here against St. Francis of Illinois. That time, Robbie Best able to wrap up Chenault. They kind of have a 3-back rotation that they can go to. You have Ethan Lepresto, who had a really nice game a week ago. Andre Chenault, the 3rd back in the rotation, but really an upcoming freshman out of Mount Clemens, Michigan, Chippewa Valley High School. Same high school as Tyler Kolka, the Blue Devils starting quarterback. Both of these teams do a nice job of recruiting out of there. Another little pre-snap adjustment here for the Siena Heights offense. We've seen that so far today. Just 3 passes for next so far, kind of what we expect out of this offense. They establish the run first and establish that line of scrimmage. Both sides really put an emphasis on the line of scrimmage. And it looks like we're going to take a breather here as Siena Heights wants to sort things out a bit. And we'll step aside with them. 13:49 to go in the second quarter. A 14-0 Saints lead.
You sit on the sidelines, but your heart is running.
Welcome back into LTSN. 13:49 to go in the second quarter. A 14-0 start, for the most part behind the legs of Jefferson, but they go to the air here. On the sideline, it's Gerald King for a first down gain. Able to pick up 16 and make their way inside of the 30. Gerald King, the East Point, Michigan native, having the most consistent season of his career when it comes to receptions. Kind of a byproduct of stepping into a larger role this season.
Yeah, right there was the second time in this quarter they tried the long pass with King. The first one didn't connect there in the beginning. That one does. Big gain for them. And they're closing in on the red zone right now.
Here is Chenault, the second back in that rotation, picking his way through traffic for a nice first down gain.
I think for the Blue Devils too, Jason, you mentioned that the Saints have a big game coming up. You got to look at their sideline and say you don't want to be a tune-up for them. You really want to put the pace, put pressure on them, really not have them have a day here with it and just consider this a practice game. And the Blue Devils defense have tried to do it so far. Right now, if they could get a big stop, either just force a field goal or even cause a turnover of their own, it'll be humongous for the Blue Devils.
Almost feels like they have gotten those stops, but then the mistakes have counteracted the stops that the Blue Devil defense have been able to come up with. Lepresto, we mentioned him, hadn't seen him yet, but there he is for the first time. And right out of the gates, able to make his way to the 11. It's good enough for a first down on a gain of 10. Just barely still out of that first and goal range. But inside of the 15 for the third time today. Tyler necked in this offense. Lepresto stays in there. They go back to him, looking for room off the right side, and gets met promptly by a couple of blue jerseys. Nick Ryan leading the way, the sophomore defensive lineman out of Ward, Michigan. One of those guys who we mentioned we feel has to maybe raise his already high level today.
Yeah, he's one of those leaders there, and right there, his first tackle of the game, big one.
The Siena Heights team, this feels like a big week considering you have your toughest test of the season next week against number 3 Marion. Siena Heights at 5-1 on the season, their best start in program history through 6 games. Rolling under head coach Matt Cohn and rolling on the ground today so far. This will be third down coming up. It'll be about 3rd and 3. And I asked their coaching staff prior to the game, you're facing a 1-4 team today. How do you go about not looking over this game and looking ahead to your matchup against number 3 Marion next week? And they said it's their homecoming week, speaking of Lawrence Tech, and you can lose to anybody on any given day. They've come out with that mentality that looks like they were ready for this game and had their mind set on this week. Coming off a good week of practice, according to the coaching staff, as they get Chenault back in the game. And did he get stopped there on 3rd down? I believe he did. Comes up about a yard short. So decision time here for the Siena Heights team in this first half with still 10:37 to go on the second quarter clock.
Siena Heights 7 for 9 on the season in 4th down conversions, clicking for 78%, so really high there. And it looks like the offense will stay out, and the Blue Devils will try to get another big stop. A lot of times, too, before the snap, the Saints looking at the sideline to gain some coaching feedback.
They do go to the pre-snap adjustments quite a bit. This time they roll it on the play action. Looking at the end zone. Ricocheted and out of bounds. So the Blue Devil defense comes up with a big stop, trailing 14-0. Ball was on the 4. Siena Heights gets a bit aggressive. Blue Devils will set up shop in their own 4, but coming away with what feels like a really important stop in the early goings of this matchup against the number 21 ranked team in the country.
Yeah, right now kind of a role reversal from a couple home games we've seen this season as the defense was the ones that kind of give up the big plays. Right now it's the offense. It seems that they need to dial it in a little bit more. Already have caused 3 turnovers, botch snap.
We mentioned those mistakes beforehand. The flag goes flying before that ball came out. They just really have to be limited today. Did a pretty nice job in that category last week. It was a relatively clean game. 4 penalties for 24 yards. He had the 4 penalties, but the 24 yards wasn't too bad. Right now, though, as Dylan, you mentioned earlier in this one, can the defense keep the offense in the game? It's a Siena Heights offense that has really come around over the past couple of weeks. They pride themselves on this end, though, and defensive side, just giving up 6.3 points per game. That is number one in the country. The Blue Devils just looking for some breathing room here. With a shade under 10 minutes to go in the second quarter.
Yeah, it's tough being pinned up against your own goal line there. And you mentioned before how the Saints coaching staff said really anyone could beat you on a given night. And this is a homecoming night for the Blue Devils. They're coming off their homecoming game, so they see really how that momentum could carry over. They won 42-0 in that game. So they don't want to underestimate the opponent, but once again, could be one of those tune-up games as they have a strong schedule coming down the line.
And somewhat of a precarious situation here, backed up at their own two, but Britton finds room in just his third game as a collegiate running back, able to get the first down and a little bit more.
Yeah, Marquis Goodman there, he kind of slipped up on the 20-yard line, was able to fall and give some space for the Blue Devils to run to the outside, and that's exactly the room that they needed.
Able to pick up 18 on third down. I wonder if they stay to Britton here. He's been inserted into that running back rotation. Really wasn't a part of that through the first 3 weeks as he didn't play. Snap was fumbled there. Kolka able to slip free. Now has a bit of time. Looking for C.J. Thompson and overthrew him high.
Fourth time the snap was fumbled here in this game. So something is either wrong with the snapper, or right now Kolka's just kind of in his own head. I'm sure that's not going to help there, but nonetheless the Blue Devils come away unscathed on that play, but it's not going to always happen like that. We've seen it already. And C.J. Thompson there almost got his hands on that one, but kind of had to be a rush throw for Kolka.
This time it's Makai Otero. Bounces off the initial contact, but stretches it out and may have picked up a couple. That sets up third and long. You don't want to live on third and long against this Siena Heights defense. Mentioned the Blue Devils trailed 21-10 at halftime a week ago, but then it was 24 unanswered to close things out for Indiana Wesleyan and are out to that 45-10 win. This week, one of the biggest crowds of the season for homecoming week. First of our triple header here on LTSN, and they pick up the flag, so that's at least a good thing for this Lawrence Tech offense. To give Otero a generous 3 yards there, so 3rd and 7 from their own 25. Lawrence Tech in search of their first conference win in Mid-States Football Association. Kolka over the middle finds Thompson. Did he barrel his way? It's going to be close here. I think they will give him the first down by a yard. Needed 7 and picked up 8, but a flag is down at the 27. They say hold the chains. This will be on Lawrence Tech.
Unsportsmanlike conduct called against Lawrence Tech.
Dylan, an unsportsmanlike, something that you just can't have in a game like this.
Yeah, one of those penalties there that really, once again, it's the discipline. You get a big first down, nice pass and run there. Thompson barrels through, they move the chains, and then right there, unsportsmanlike. Don't know if it was something that was said either to the referee or the opposing team, but nonetheless, not what you wanted, and it's not a recipe for success here. It is the first major call against the Blue Devils this game, so they try to dial it in, their discipline factor, but once again, it comes at the most unopportune times.
They will be given the new set of downs, but they're back at their own 19 as opposed to the 32. Marquez Steele on the reception, but another flag goes flying. Marquez Steele, a guy who came in as a quarterback, and they're using him at running back now, receiver, sorry. He has that kind of lanky build, about 6'3", kind of as a receiver build. Mobile quarterback in high school. We'll see what this flag is. It's against Lawrence Tech once again, as the disciplinary issues are starting to bleed into this game and affect the LTU progression.
For Lawrence Tech, it's kind of one of those things is once the floodgates open, they all start coming out, and right now maybe a little bit of frustration here. Still haven't got on the board with only 7:32 remaining here in the first half. They want to do something offensively, but like you said, it's going to hinder that, getting all these penalties.
So an interesting progression to this possession. They were at their own 4, got a first down gain out to the 22. They had a first down to the 32. That was called back, 7 to the 19. Now a holding penalty has you right back at your own 9. It's been an arduous series of events on this drive. Almost halfway through this second quarter of play. They go to the ground on 1st and 20 is what they're back to now. And it'll set up second and about 19.
Tackled by Cole Merlin.
Cole Merlin in on the hit there. Cole Merlin, a guy from Siena, Ohio, leading this team in tackles. Expect to call his name quite a bit this afternoon. 4 straight games with at least 10 tackles and back-to-back games with 15. Several names on the Siena Heights defense that just contribute at such a high level. Merlin is a really promising youngster. To the air, Kolka goes. Obvious passing down situation, needing some yardage here. And Williams, the Florida native, gets past the 20, but just back to the line of scrimmage initially. Claiborne able to make the stop there. Another guy, Redford, Michigan native, 6'2", senior. Originally was a Division I recruit coming out of Cass Tech High School, the famed Cass Tech High School in Detroit. Started his career out at Indiana State University, then transferred to Siena Heights as a sophomore. Became a starter right away, now in his senior year, coming off a season that saw him as an NAIA All-American honorable mention. Kolka to the air. They need 6. They get a flag down in the backfield. This might be holding. It's in the holding zone. Kolka was pressured the first time we saw him out in this field earlier in the season, and it really disrupted the rhythm of the offense. Siena Heights is a defense that can disrupt your rhythm by getting in the backfield, once again applying the pressure there. And we'll wonder who this penalty is against. It's back to the 12. Kolka under pressure there. Blue Devils have been charged with holding already once on this drive.
Kolka tried to escape there, a couple pump fakes, but good coverage all the way down the field by the Saints. No one really open. They clogged the lanes running-wise as well, so Kolka couldn't even use his own feet. And you see the Siena Heights players clapping their hands. It might be another holding penalty, and it will be against the Blue Devils. We have a sideline warning as well against the Saints, though.
The Saints will decline that penalty, and that brings out Brad Gibson to punt. Dylan, that was a drive that chewed up almost 7 minutes of clock. They started it at their own 4, yet only made it out to their own 23 eventually with all those penalties. Really interesting sequence there. You don't see a drive chew up 7 minutes of clock and only gain about 19 yards. Austin Kreider will set up Siena Heights at the 49 with some good field possession here for Tyler Necht. Still plenty of time to work with. Siena Heights looking to make this a 3-possession game. Both scores, to recap a bit here, have been off the legs of Caleb Jefferson. A 79-yard run, 3 plays into this game to open things up. He's now surpassed 100 yards for the 3rd time this season, and now in back-to-back games for the first time in his career. They really try to establish that running game. They're going to start out here just inside of their own territory. 5-1 on the season, off to their best start in program history. Under head coach Matt Cohn, who has made an immense impact in a short time span, just his third season. Caleb Jefferson, that doesn't happen a lot. He's bottled up just behind the line of scrimmage.
Colby Ford with the stop for Lawrence Tech.
It's Colby Ford, one of the young defensive linemen on the Lawrence Tech side, able to make the hit.
Good play there by him just to get in and get a tackle on the first contact. That's what you love to see. You mentioned, too, prior that the possession for the Blue Devils was 7 minutes. Very uncharacteristic, too, to go that long and not score. Their time of possession per game around 33.
Necht will step up, able to elude the pressure. Has King and has a first down.
Next pass complete to number 6, Cody Burton. It's good enough for a first down.
That'll be a gain of, they'll spot him at the 40 rather, 39, so they'll.
That catch there by Burton, the 6'4" sophomore, using his lengthy strides to get that first down.
Next goes to the ground, hands off here. Looking for Chenault.
Cade Dixon in on the stop for the Blue Devils.
Good stop there by Dixon, getting in and reading that running play.
Second down.
It's going to be 2nd and 5 now.
Another look to the sideline. Next, we'll go to the air on 2nd and short. Too tall. That's on the intended target, Timothy Brown. Southfield High School, right down the street, literally less than 90 seconds away if you make the light down the street. Blue Devils are kind of looking to dip into Southfield High School and dip into this area. If you're kind of new to our broadcast, Lawrence Tech in just their first season as a program, first full season competing in the Mid-States Football Association. The Siena Heights team, also a relatively young program, and their 7th year. They had some early success back in 2014-15. They were co-champions in the Mid-East League with Marion. Actually didn't make it to the tournament that year, though, because there was another team that had the tie with Marion. They gave Marion the tournament bid. Over the middle, a first down gain. It's King to the 15. On 3rd down, they needed 5, and they'll pick up about 18.
Great catch there as Broden was all over him, grabbing the shoulder pads, trying to get his hand just to direct the ball away from the gloves, and pulled in nicely. So back in the red zone now for the Saints. They've gone 12 for 22 in the red zone, clicking at 55%.
Jefferson, the ball carrier. Cade Dixon on the stop for Lawrence Tech.
Dixon gets the tackle and stop once again.
I mentioned this kind of feels like a big game for Siena Heights. 3 of their final 4 games are on the road. Program record 7 wins a year ago, on track to surpass that. Really feels like the next step for this program would be finishing strong in the toughest part of the schedule. They lost 2 of their final 3 last year. Of a 4-1 Indiana Wesleyan team, a ranked St. Francis team, and a top 10 ranked Marion team over their next 3. Not looking to overlook Lawrence Tech this week, though. Up 14, looking over the middle, a dangerous pass. Tapped out of the air. That's on by Xavier McDonald. Guy with some nice size. Looks good in warm-ups. Freshman DB has been tested, but he's shown a lot of potential.
Nice play there. Daniel Max got a hand on it. Tried the one-handed interception. Would have been a highlight reel play there. Blue Devil defense really warming up to the task. Another 3rd down. This time even more yardage, 8 to get the first for the Saints, and the Blue Devils, and especially the Blue Devil faithful here, enjoying this.
On the Lawrence Tech side, mentioned the Blue Devil faithful, 3 of the final 5 games of the season are at home as we begin to dip into the home stretch of this 2019 season. Crazy just how fast it goes. Already 6 weeks in. Crisp fall weather this week. Really feels like football weather in Michigan. We'll take a quick breather with 2:10 to go in the second quarter of play in the opening half. Siena Heights with 14 points, Lawrence Tech 0. The Saints knocking on the door when we come back. Welcome back to LTSN. Big third tonight here. Siena Heights went for it the last time they were down here. This time it's an open Gerald King for a touchdown. The third of the opening half. And the Siena Heights Saints are up by 3 possessions. King, the junior receiver from East Point, his first reception of the game is a touchdown.
King kind of got lost in coverage there. Just found an opening and was able to get to the back corner of the end zone. Wide and all alone, easily caught and pulled in.
Sets up Anthony Secchi for the extra point. He's been efficient in that category this season. So Lawrence Tech now will have to set up on somewhat of a 2-minute drill. This first half of play for the second consecutive week. They give up 21 in the first half, barring another score from the Saints. We're down 21-10 at the half a week ago against Indiana Wesleyan, and then we're blanked in the second half, 24-0. Today, the threat coming in, at least the experts coming in, thought about this one, saying that can Lawrence Tech get on the board today, considering how good this defense is? Nothing against Lawrence Tech. It's just a defense giving up only 6 points per game. That's number 1 in the country, and they're number 1 in several categories. Right now, still yet to score. They've been inside of Siena Heights territory, but turned the ball over on one occasion, fumbled. The Siena Heights defense forced 6 fumbles last week in their 42-0 rout of Taylor. That was their second shutout of the season. Recovered 2 of those fumbles, but forced 6. I mean, just kind of illustrates how well they pursue the football. It's a mentality of being a team. It's unselfish. Their defense will head out once more here. Blue Devils muffed a reception of a punt. That was the other mishap, and that happens at their own 10. On the first play for the Siena Heights offense, they scored on the legs of Caleb Jefferson. Britton on the reception end of that kickoff return, able to get up to the 25.
Britton was trying to tipsy-do all over there and smothered by white jerseys. Blue Devils, though, going to have a little bit better field position from that. And once again, as you mentioned, 2 minutes now left on the clock. Can the Blue Devils try to get one before halftime? That'll be key here. Especially don't want to go a quick 3 and out, so then the Saints have an opportunity to extend the lead before the half.
Sukolka, as Blue Devil offense hasn't had to go up tempo very often. A dart over the middle of Tinton. His first game back after missing the last couple with that knee injury. Has the brace on, but looks like he's picking up right where he left off the last time we saw him. That's a connection that Those two really worked on in the summer, entering the season. Spent a lot of time on the practice field together in the summer. Hinton, just a freshman, in Farmington, Michigan, just about 15 minutes away. Kolka looking his direction again, but gets flushed. That time in the backfield, and making the hit was Jonari Brown.
Losing his block there was Otero. And able to get in the backfield. He's going to put up third down now for the Blue Devils. 3 to go.
3rd and 3 from their own 32, with the pressure picking up and the time dwindling. Kolka, bit more comfy this time, looking for Hinton over the middle, and has him once again for the second time this drive, out to the 45.
Nice play there by Hinton to just try to get open. He cuts across the middle of the field there. 3 people around him, finds a way to grasp it and pull it down, and the Blue Devils call a timeout here.
Coach Duve called Hinton very coachable, very competitive, and very poised and beyond his years. As friends in the family in the stands today mentioned, he's from Farmington, just about 15 minutes away, Avondale High School. And he's been one of the more impressive freshmen in the conference. Had to miss the last couple of weeks, and that really hurt this Blue Devil offense. Talked to Coach Dew before the game about what he brings to this team and said that it's an extra dimension, it's an extra element. He's obviously a threat, but you pair up him and Kendall Williams on the other side, and the defense then has to make the decision of, hey, do you double cover Hinton or do you load up the box? And this Siena Heights team really does like to load up the box. 1:03 to go in this first half of play. Big drive here, a little bit of momentum brewing and picking up for this LTU offense. Pleasure to have you with us once again today. Jason Ross Jr. alongside Dylan Morello, producers Kia Tyus and Jenna Skalski. Denver Rokon behind the camera, Gabe O'Neill down on the field. Best crowd of the season number-wise for this homecoming matchup. And Lawrence Tech maybe in the early goings felt the pressure of that matchup. Turnovers, penalties, bleeding in. But right now, you just kind of have to forget about that. They bring out 3 receivers here. They'll load up in the shotgun again. Otero is the back. They've kind of rotated that position so far, but Otero has taken the brunt of the carries today. They go to the air. Over the middle, looking right to Hinton once again. That time, the Siena Heights defense able to key in on him. Griffin Sobol, 6'3", 200-pound senior. This defense is so experienced. A litany of seniors, and Sobol is one of the better ones, Illinois native. From Morris, Illinois, that's about an hour outside of Chicago. He's a big Chicago Bears fan, second-team All-American last season. Second on the team in tackles coming into the day, and second on the team in interceptions. 2nd and 10 for the Blue Devil offense from their own 49. Looking down the sideline, Kendall Williams was able to get behind the coverage, but he was overthrown.
Overthrown there because Kolka was under a ton of pressure. You saw him fall down in the back of the field, but we have a flag once again at the 45.
Yeah, this time it's at the 45 of Siena Heights. So isn't in the backfield. Seen the Blue Devils get charged with holding twice, but this will go to Siena Heights. It's a defensive holding. So it's an automatic first down. Lawrence Tech getting a bit of help here, and the clock stops at 55 seconds.
Yeah, not only help from the chains moving, automatic first down, but like you said, the clock stopping as well. So buy some time for the Blue Devils. Don't have to use a timeout there, and trying to get a score on the board here before the end of the half.
C.J. Thompson makes the reception and gets out of bounds. So the clock will stop again at 50 seconds. So Blue Devil first down. They'll set up shop now at the 39 of Siena Heights. Looked pretty composed on this drive. Dylan mentioned 6 weeks into the season. Inexperience at this point, kind of an excuse. They're not using it as one. Kolka with time, looking for Williams. That's picked off. This defense had a couple of interceptions last week. That time, snatching that out of the air, Trenton Morrow, the junior from Norwalk, Ohio, and he promptly snaps that momentum that was brewing for Lawrence Tech with 41 seconds to go in the opening half.
That's the 14th interception right there for the Saints. And once again, Jason, it's the turnovers. When you feel the momentum brewing for the Blue Devils, you kind of have to sit back in your seat and say to yourself, what are they going to do right now to lose it? And right there, an interception causes it. And now that gives the Saints 41 seconds to work with, and definitely a lot of time here for them to try to extend their lead going into the locker room. We've seen them score pretty much on one play already in this game.
Second time today that Lawrence Tech has given the ball away in Siena Heights territory. Next will be bottled up that time. Charlie Riddle, one of the young linemen on this Lawrence Tech defense, just a freshman, able to pull next down that time around.
That's only the Blue Devils' 5th sack on the season.
This really hasn't happened enough. Applying pressure in the backfield. But the mistakes in this opening half of play inside of Siena Heights territory. Down 3 scores, and Dylan, you look at one of those scores, it's a muffed punt that leads to Siena Heights taking over year 11 and then scoring on that first play of the drive. So you take that away, perhaps still a 14-0 game, theoretically. And now you find yourselves down 21-0. That's the reoccurring theme in this game and this season for Lawrence Tech. This game kind of a microcosm of it. Just the mistakes when you're in position to perhaps do something. Now just trying to get out of here with half a minute to go.
2nd and 15.
2nd and 15 after that 5th sack of the season for Lawrence Tech. Up the middle, it's Jefferson pounding his way. Such a physical running back, but he has this speed to break away as we saw earlier in this half with that 79-yard run. Siena Heights perhaps content now with this 21-0 lead as the clock winds down in the opening half.
3rd and short for the Saints.
Now it's going to be 3rd and short. Blue Devils get a sack, but then the defense lets up there, gets a hold opening, and now 3rd and 3.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached halftime of today's game.
So they are indeed content with a 21-0 lead going into the locker room. Couple of touchdowns in the legs of Caleb Jefferson, and then Gerald King, the junior, gets into the mix on a connection with Tyler Nex. They've been in rhythm, they feasted off of mistakes, and they have been composed. The number 21 team in the land, up 21-0, looking to improve to 6-1 on the season. We'll head to the breather. 21-0 once again at halftime. You're watching Blue Devil football on LTSN.
Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the heart and soul of Lawrence Tech's campus, the LTU Blue Devils Marching Band. Today's show, titled Marvel vs. DC, features the music of past and present superheroes. Our story will start with one who is faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive. Up, up, and away! And now, Blue Devils, to the Batmobile. Blue Devils, assemble. Ladies and gentlemen, lastly, with great power comes great responsibility. No worries, it's your friendly neighborhood marching band. Ladies and gentlemen, earlier today you met our jubilarians. We'd like to now introduce you to the members of that group celebrating their anniversary of 50 years. We are so excited to welcome them back as part of our homecoming celebration. We'd like to extend an extra special thank you to our class chair, Ron McKaylee, and the Jubilee Committee members for making this year's event one to remember. Please join us in a round of applause in honor of this year's golden anniversary class of 1969. Ladies and gentlemen, the band is under the field direction of sophomore drum major Nicholas Blankowski, making history this season as the first ever drum major. The band is under the direction of Anthony Case, assisted by assistant director Brian Rowan, percussion director Richard Case, wind instructor Alex Corey, color guard director Ryan Barr.
At Henry Ford Health System, we treat the whole athlete, from surgery to cardiology, nutrition to performance conditioning, sports psychology to brain health, using the most innovative technologies like motion analysis and advanced treatments. We champion the whole athlete, from injury prevention and treatment to performance conditioning, with appointments with 24 business hours. Let us create a unique game plan for you, just like we do for the pros. Visit us at henryford.com/sports.
You sit on the sidelines, but your heart is running across that field. His drive becomes yours, his dreams too. So when a torn ACL... You sit on the sidelines, but your heart is running across that field. His drive becomes yours, his dreams too. So when a torn ACL and concussion threaten those dreams, choose the sports medicine team that treats the whole athlete. Henry Ford Health System. We combine the most innovative technology with a personalized treatment plan so he can get back his confidence. And you can get back to being his biggest fan. Henry Ford Health System, all for you.
So you want to work out, and you're curious about supplements, but don't know where to start. All you have to do is, oh, you're already done. With the Benefit Box, you get full-size supplements customized to you and tailored to your fitness goals. With easy-to-use instructions delivered right to your front door. Visit www.thebenefitbox.com to get started on building your box and you today.
Time now for a look inside Lawrence Technological University. And did you know LTU partners up with several Michigan high schools to advance education and give kids a leg up when it comes to preparing better for college? Lawrence Tech and West Bloomfield High School recently celebrated the opening of the high school's Tech Hub space. This is just one of the collaborations between LTU and West Bloomfield High School. Dual enrollment classes, internships, summer training sessions, as well as special programs for West Bloomfield students interested in engineering. The Tech Hub will provide distance learning opportunities for classes taught by Lawrence Tech professors and West Bloomfield teachers, both via video conferencing and in person.
If we orient and mentor and help students in the right direction, they are likely to succeed and be leaders in the community. And the community wins, the school system wins, the state wins, and America wins.
Attention teachers and administrators, your school should partner up with Lawrence Technological University. This is the definition of win-win. Inquire within by going to the university's website, ltu.edu, right now. Esports at LTU is growing rapidly, and students in the esports program recently held a gaming event on campus. Of course, there were tons of video games, board games, and so much more.
Right now, this event is helping so that people are aware of what kind of fun and kind of exciting things that we do here at LTU. With these games, we're trying to make sure that people are engaged in LTU, and hopefully they want to come here if they don't come here already.
LTU is hosting another esports tournament in May, where students in high school will compete for a chance to win thousands of dollars in scholarship to LTU and other great prizes. High school teams across Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio compete in an 8-week-long season. Then, the top 16 will be invited to compete for the grand prize on LTU's campus. After 2 days of competition, the two top teams left in the tourney will go head-to-head, but only one will be crowned Esports High School Champion. If you want to find out more about esports, head over to ltu.edu right now.
We are holding our prospect camp, and we open it up from 7th grade all the way up to seniors, going into their senior year. And we're holding it here at Troy Athens High School, and we got a gorgeous day for it. What it is people who have the dream of playing college softball. And for us, we have some people who are extremely interested in LTU that have come to the camp, or that they're looking to go on to college and play college softball. We go over It's more of advanced drills than just basic drills that we try to do here today.
I really like the prospect camp because there's always a lot of energy with these younger girls, so we get to help them out and grow their skills more, and we get to have fun while we're doing it and teach them like a lot of cool things that Coach Baird showed us.
My favorite thing is they always have a lot of energy. They always have, they're always high-fiving each other, and they talk a lot, and that's probably my favorite part.
We try and bring what we teach the younger kids to our fields. Like if there's something that our teammates aren't understanding, like we try and teach them like we would to teach the younger kids.
So we've got two freshmen here today, Aaron and Rylan. And I just met Aaron today, and we're already clicking, and it really helps us to kind of learn each other's teaching styles. So it really helps us know how I learn, how Sarah learns. Like I learn different than Sarah, and it helps us to help each other.
I want the players here more than probably me. When they see the players doing the drills and being a part of it, it's for our players not only to give back to the game of softball, but also for our players to understand like the coaching aspect and how you do the drills and break down the drills. And our players do an awesome job with it.
Time now to take a look inside Lawrence Technological University. One of the great advantages in getting your degree at Lawrence Tech are the several tools to help prepare you for a rewarding career once you graduate. The Office of Career Services offers a wide range of resources to help you navigate your job journey. Whether you need assistance with choosing a major, writing a resume, conducting a job search, alumni contacts, the Career Service Office is there to help you in every way.
We have many different appointment slots open and many different things we can help you with because we have many things that some students don't even realize that we offer.
I believe everyone should use Career Services because it's one of the resources that the university has put into place to help make you a better candidate for various job offers, and is not at any extra cost to any of them.
Welcome back to LTSN. Second half of play from Southfield on a beautiful, crisp 60-degree fall afternoon at Blue Devils Stadium. Blue Devils looking for their first win in a few weeks when they beat Wisconsin Lutheran here on this home field in week 2. Now 1-4 on the season. Looking to snap a 3-game losing streak. Brad Gibson to kick off the second half. Back to return, but watching this ball sail right over his head. Davion Pipkins. Bring out Tyler Necht, the redshirt sophomore quarterback from Kingsville, Ohio, Cincinnati native. Born back on February 14th of 1998, now 21 years of age. Parents Jim and Michelle, really a great family, and he's a guy who's been calm and poised beyond his years so far. They love his leadership, they love his managing skills. And in that first half, as usual, typically see him under 15 pass attempts per game. 5 of 10 through the air so far for 1 touchdown to wrap up that first half, hitting Gerald King in the end zone. Other 2 touchdowns came on the legs of Caleb Jefferson, who's up to 120 yards on the day. They go right to him to open up this second half and breaks his way through past that initial contact for a pretty decent gain, a physical gain of 5.
Jefferson there, nice run and just getting his legs under him. Both teams, I'm sure in the locker room, especially for the Blue Devils, talked about limiting turnovers right now. The turnovers really take away from their offensive side of the game. For the Saints, though, it's just about keeping the pedal to the metal, keeping up the pressure. Once again, a good game to try to get your reps in as the schedule for both teams gets harder from here on out.
Second and manageable, where you can open up the playbook to just about anything. Blue Devil defense is ready for the run that time around. Dylan mentioned the turnovers, a fumble, an interception, and a muffed punt at their own 11-yard line for Lawrence Tech. That muffed punt led to a score on the first play of the subsequent possession for Siena Heights. Blue Devil defense was able to get off the field in some big spots, but their offense just couldn't quite capitalize on the momentum. 21-0, opening up this second half, still in the early stages of it. We've seen a lot of these pre-snap adjustments so far from the Siena Heights offense. Just 2 receivers here on 3rd and 3. The jet sweep they go, and he's bottled up by Robbie Best. Robbie Best, a guy who dealt with some concussion issues for the first 2 weeks of the season, stemming from a practice injury. They've been happy to have him back over the past couple of weeks. One of the more tenacious linebackers in the conference. One of the guys that you really feel needs to perhaps raise an already high level coming into a matchup like this, able to force what feels a big 4th down out of the gates here in the second half.
Yeah, exactly what the Blue Devils wanted. They knew that the Saints would start off with possession. It'll be key to stop them right away, and they get that.
Kendall Williams meets this football at the 40, breaks through initial contact, and pirouettes his way just inside of Siena Heights territory to the 49.
Good field position here for the Blue Devils. Let's see what they could do with it. We mentioned the turnovers, and the thing with them is turnovers are inevitable. I mean, they're going to happen in a game. The problem is the timing of them. for the Blue Devils really just hasn't been good. It's been when they have been playing the ball well, moving it up the field, good offensive pressure, and that's not what you want to see. And let's see if they kind of changed it up, dial it in here for the second half. They're going to need a big one.
To close out the first, under a minute to go, they threw an interception when they were inside of Siena Heights territory. Here's a nice gain on first down from Makai Otero, a guy who had a really big summer, really worked on his lower body strength, did a lot of work in the sand, deliberately running hills, a guy with a very strong work ethic and a creative mind. Technical design major, really cool guy to talk with, Cypress Creek, Florida native. Only had 33 yards on 14 carries last week. That Indiana Wesleyan defensive line really bottled up Lawrence Tech ground game. That was Otero's 5th carry, now 15 yards on the day. Ben Britton leading the way with 26 yards. Otero still in there. They go back to him, looking for a first down on 2nd and 4. It might be just short.
Kyle Otero, the carrier.
Should be 3rd and about a yard here. Let's see where they place it. Nonetheless, 2 pretty decent runs there by Otero, trying to get him a feel for the ball, get him into the game. He's been quiet.
Yeah, this will be actually 3rd and a long 2. So they bring the aforementioned Ben Britton back into the game. Kind of in an impromptu move. They had to turn him into the power back this season with Sabo out. This time under pressure. Polka hit as he threw, able to find Kendall Williams for a first down gain to the 31. It's a gain of 11 on 3rd and 3.
Kolka was a little bit slow to get off the turf there, but he was able to make a good pass. Kind of a little bit underthrown there, but able to come in and run into the ball. Nice catch, and the Blue Devils moving downfield, and this is the point where they really have to dial in, bear down, and keep up with it. Can't have a turnover here as they're getting some good first downs.
Feels like they're kind of picking up with the momentum that they left off with in the first half, although you mentioned that drive ended with an interception. Here's room for Britton off the left side, able to power his way to the 31. 26 rather, my apologies.
Trevon Claiborne with the stop for the Saints.
Claiborne the stop there for the Saints. Redford, Michigan native.
Will be 2nd and short.
Brings up 2nd and short on the 24. This is the deepest the Blue Devils have been in Siena Heights territory this afternoon. Kolka with time to throw, but good coverage downfield. Able to find C.J. Thompson as the coverage eventually broke down on the sideline. Some athletic movement from the big man, C.J. Thompson at 6'4". And the Blue Devils are at the 11. That's a gain of 13.
Thompson had to tiptoe the sideline there, but able to catch it while falling down. Great play. Blue Devils in the red zone now. They've gone 13 for 22 with red zone scores, clicking at 59% there, and this will be big.
Yeah, first time inside the 20 this afternoon. Kolka once again well protected, looking at the end zone. There was some physical movement in the corner of the end zone. That ball was somehow ricocheted and caught fortuitously by Marquez Steele. That was a physical battle. Somehow Marquez Steele able to come away with the reception. A guy who came into the season as a quarterback, moved to receiver position. That's his first touchdown reception, and it's a big one to trim this lead potentially down to 14.
One of those plays there where you really gasp for air and like, wait a second, is this going to be the turnover that we were kind of waiting for? But the Blue Devils get that bounce that they needed, as that one splits the uprights and they get their first points on the board this evening. It took them a full half and a little bit more to get on the board, but nonetheless, the Blue Devils have that energy, and it's only a 2-possession game here.
First trip inside of the red zone is a successful one. The Blue Devil offense, wonder what was said at halftime. They really looked like a group with some intent on that opening drive. We mentioned the offensive line has been one of the strong suits for Lawrence Tech coming into the day. It was kind of, hey, our best guys versus your best guys, offensive line versus the number one defensive line in the conference with Siena Heights. And the Blue Devils have fared pretty well against this defense that is only allowing 6 points per game in the season.
And Davion Kipkins back deep for Siena Heights. Brad Gibson will kick off for the Blue Devils.
So Gibson to kick off, and this one just outside of the pylon, so that'll be a flag.
Kick went out of bounds.
Gibson known for barreling it through the end zone. That one, though, will give the Saints some good field position.
Tyler Necht back at quarterback for Siena Heights.
That will bring Tyler Necht and the Siena Heights offense out to the 35. And for the most part, they've had the field position advantage. Some nice punting in that opening half from Lechler. Here comes Necht once again with Caleb Jefferson, who is now over 100 yards in back-to-back games for the second consecutive game. First time in his career he's done that in back-to-back affairs. Looking down the field this time, though, is Necht, has a man over the middle, able to hit his intended target, Marquise Robinson.
Cody Burton. That would be a first down for the Saints.
Good play there, as that was Cody Burton being able to snag that one down.
My apologies on those double numbers for Siena Heights. Under 9 to go in the third quarter. Ball comes out. Next improvising. Flings it down the field. King was in the vicinity. Bottled up by Christian Clark Broaden. Bass wasn't going to make it there anyway. Just a reminder, this is the first of 3 games today on LTSN. First ever triple header here at Blue Devil Stadium. The men's and women's soccer teams will take on Indiana Tech at 4:30 and 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. This is the homecoming week here on the Lawrence Tech University campus. Packed crowd. Tailgate really had a nice atmosphere to it this morning. One of the largest crowds of the season. Trying to urge on their defense here in the second half. Coming back to the football that time to make the reception was Justin Carabino, his second of the game.
Next pass
and promptly after a gain of 7 there.
Robbie Dustin, big run perfect it on the stop for Lawrence Tech. Second down. Third down.
Saints now inside of Blue Devil territory for the first time in this second half. Here's Next out of a tight pocket. Has his man. It's a first down gain. That time another pickup of 7, and they were able to get 2 yards past the sticks.
Next pass complete to number 3.
Reghaki Abdul Hakim.
Nice job there by the Saints, really just to settle the ball down. The Blue Devils had a good stop in the beginning there of this half, and now you see how really calm, cool, and collected this offense really is, and they're able to get a couple good passes in.
Starting to rotate in some of those guys that you consider to be 2, 3, maybe even 4 on the depth chart. It's a pretty deep receiving core, considering they run the ball most of the time. They have some experience all around, a program that's really built itself up over the past few seasons. Once again, it's Hakeem, this time galloping his way just to the marker. We'll see if they give him a first down here. Able to pick up a 10, just enough for that first down. And now Siena Heights all of a sudden picking up some momentum, looking to answer back down to the Blue Devil 29.
Broden had a nice tackle there to try to close the gap.
Mentioned Broden, one of those guys from Southfield High School, right down the street, less than 90 seconds away. Stayed home to play his college football. Out of the backfield, it's Jefferson tumbling his way. They lost him, and Daniel Mack just has to knock him out of bounds at the 6-yard line.
To Caleb Jefferson.
Jefferson not only could run, but also could catch there. And as you said, Jason, Blue Devils lose him in coverage. He was in the backfield, just kind of came out of nowhere.
First down, Siena Heights.
Catches that almost sideways-like pass and is able to get a bunch of yards. Ball's going to be on the 6 now, the Blue Devils.
Siena Heights stacking up that offensive line. Almost looks like a goal line set with the pistol formation. They'll bring Brown slightly in motion, setting up the blocks this time for Jefferson, but Kevlon Griffith, the guy who really plays this game with a nice passion out of Ruskin, Florida, makes the tackle. Under 6 to go in this third quarter. Blue Devils can come away with Siena Heights only notching 3 here. That would be immense, or at least it would feel like it would be immense. Both of these teams really like to carve up the time of possession. We have seen some long drives in this affair. Siena Heights about 4 minutes into this one. They started this drive at their own 35. Here is Necht rolling out to the right, looking at the back of the end zone, hauling it down. That time is Bianchi Abdul Hakim.
Next pass completes the back of the end zone to number 3, Bianchi Abdul Hakim.
Beautiful roll there, and that pass really at the edge of the end zone. 2 touched in, and the Saints now running away with this one.
Yeah, that was a big score, 27-6 now. Blue Devils missed the extra points after their lone touchdown to begin this second half of play. Now this Siena Heights team, offense has really come around over the past couple of weeks. 42-zip shutout of Taylor a week ago. Make it 28-6 with 5:19 to go in the third. We'll step aside momentarily as the Blue Devils step into the desperation stages of this matchup. 5:19 to go in the third.
Alex Phelan will kick for Siena Heights. Kendall Williams deep, forlorn step.
Welcome back to LTSN. Alex Phelan getting set to kick off for Siena Heights, now up 28-6. Williams back to return, but it falls gracefully into the hands of Britton. He's bottled up promptly inside of his own 20. It was Here's Ethan Lepresto, the running back who you often do find on special teams. That's why there was a bit of an extra celebration there. He's a guy who's really versatile.
Ethan Lepresto.
Brings out Tyler Kolka coming up here. You wonder what the mentality is like now for Lawrence Tech. Really came out of the gates hot in the second half. Kind of looked like a different team. Scored on that opening drive, but now it's Siena Heights answering right back. And as a young group, how does that deflate your mentality? How does that deflate your energy? Trailing 28-6 with time and 5:19 to go in this third quarter. We've seen Kolka go to the air a lot more in this game, but it's time to go to the ground. And Makai Otero gets hit hard by Dawan Smith II.
Yeah, Otero looked like he got almost clotheslined there, just extending a beefy arm and running right into it. Nonetheless, the Blue Devils, as we said before, they got on the board, but then Saints fought right back, and it's tough to see that when you think you found a chink in the armor. And right there, the opening was closed, and they kind of slammed the door shut once again.
It's been a better start to this second half for Lawrence Tech than we saw last week at Indiana Wesleyan when they were blanked 24-0. Now with 6 on the board, but trailing still 28-6. Coach Duvendeck looked confident before the game when I was talking to him. Said that the execution would be key. Can you play a clean football game? They haven't been able to do that. Interception, fumble, and a muffed punt. They've all been crucial turnovers and some big penalties back on their own end as well. Here's 3rd and 3 coming up on their own 27. Kolka will throw here in the 3rd and short situation. Pumps once. He can run, but he gets hit hard this time by Merlin, leading this Siena Heights team in tackles. You're going to get around him very often. 60 tackles entering today. The only player on the Siena Heights team above 60 tackles on the season. Such a hard worker. That's a career high, 60 tackles so far out of Saline, Ohio. Plethora of guys in that linebacking core and the D-line that can really make an impact. #1 scoring defense in the country, only allowing 6.3 points per game. We mentioned before this one that this is such a tough part of the schedule for Lawrence Tech. Next week, you just happen to play the #2 defense in the country, scoring-wise, only giving up 7 points per game when they travel to Marion. Here's a Siena Heights team. It was a big block in the backfield. It was an illegal block, so we get a flag thrown here. Next week for this Lawrence Tech team, Marion, as I mentioned, and for Siena Heights, their final 3 games in the schedule will be big ones. Of Indiana Wesleyan. Have St. Francis of Indiana team next week, ranked #7 in the country. Siena Heights, one of 5 ranked teams in this conference. It's a 4-1 Indiana Wesleyan team, Marion, and then St. Francis next week. Mentioned coming off their 2nd shutout of the season, 42-0 over Taylor. Kind of feels like that's the next stage of this program for Siena Heights, is finishing strong, on track if they could potentially set a program record in wins. Currently at 5, program record is 7. But they set a season ago under head coach Matt Cohn in his 3rd year, who has made an immense impact in a short time frame. They have their eyes set on the NAIA tournament.
2 penalties on the play, 1st and 30.
2 penalties, a holding against the Saints, that was declined, and then a personal foul called against the Saints as well. That was, I believe, they're gonna get Trenton Morrow on the personal foul. 2:59 left on the 3rd quarter clock. 28-6. The Siena Heights lead after Lawrence Tech scored out of the gates in this 3rd quarter on their opening drive after being blanked in the opening half. Then the Saints answered right back.
Great opportunity here for the Blue Devil defense to try to get back to what they had in the first half, forcing 3 and outs on the Saints. And it's going to be key here for the Blue Devils just to not be complacent with their play, to still pick it up, have that never give up attitude, especially with the season going the way it is right now. You don't want to just get into the habit of going into games thinking the opponent's way ahead of you.
Yeah, you kind of wonder about the mentality on both sides in a game like this. You have Blue Devils, as you mentioned, their mentality now 1-4 and trailing 28-6. Wonder what the halftime conversation was like after those mistakes in the opening half. On the opposite side, talking to the Siena Heights coaches before the game, they're 5-1. How do you come into this game and not overlook a 1-4 team, considering you play the number 7 team in the country next week? And they just said you can be beaten by any team on any given day, and they kind of looked like they have played with that mentality. Necht has been composed. They played their game. They've been mentally focused throughout the afternoon. Beautiful 60-degree crisp fall football-like field this afternoon on a homecoming afternoon here in Southfield. Necht able to hit Hakeem, who we found in the end zone on their previous drive. Only picks up a yard, though, so that sets up 3rd and 9. The Blue Devil defense without DeMarcus Bush today. It's injury-laden group right now. One of the starters on that D-line. That's been a struggle so far for this Blue Devil defense. Gave up a 79-yard run 3 plays into this game. Here's another pre-snap adjustment. Siena Heights has been excellent on the ground today. They will go to the ground on 3rd and long. Chenault, kind of the second back in this 3-back rotation for Siena Heights, runs ahead, and that'll set up a punt. A rare punt today for the Siena Heights offense. Drake Berry in on the tackle there. Mechanical engineering major, a captain a season ago, guy who just simply doesn't miss a lot of tackles. Came into this one thinking guys like Berry, you think of Fareed Saluade, Daniel Max, Robbie Best, they would have to elevate their level. No DeMarcus Bush. And I mean, it's been a tough going, tough sledding when it comes to the line of scrimmage with Siena Heights on offense. They've been winning that battle. They've been winning the field position battle for the most part. But Tyler Kolka and this Blue Devil offense will come out here in a pretty nice spot. They'll set up shop at the 43.
Favorable field position here for Kolka, and the Blue Devils once again are going to try to dwindle this lead the Saints have put forward. We expected maybe a little bit bigger score, bigger difference, but that's exactly what the Blue Devils wanted. They still have a lot of time left here. A full quarter to go.
We have seen crazier things. Kolka's been pretty well protected today. He's found C.J. Thompson a couple of times today. This time, hits him for a gain of 13 on that first down pass. Kolka and Thompson, that's a really nice hookup. Thompson is a guy who walks around practice and just kind of has a certain presence about him. At 6'4", 210 out of Alma, Michigan, long arms. Stutter on the tackle there for the Saints. They really work it to Thompson on the sidelines. They've done that quite well.
Yeah, you said Kolka's been having a lot of time. That's just a good, got to tip your hat off to the O-line there, as they've been allowing him to really stay in the pocket, make some good throws.
They're going up against the best rushing defense in the conference. And in this 1-4 season for Lawrence Tech, you'd have to say that the offensive line is probably maybe the brightest spot so far. The push that they've been able to get up front at times for this offense has been key. It'll be key in the fourth quarter where they're trying to pull off a comeback that not a lot of people will expect them to pull off. Trailing 28-6 with 15 minutes left on the clock in regulation. 28-6, the Siena Heights lead as the team's trade scores in that third quarter of play. You're watching Blue Devil football on LTSN.
Using the most innovative technologies like motion analysis and advanced treatments. Treat Champion, the whole athlete. From injury prevention and treatment to performance conditioning, with appointments within 24 business hours, let us create a unique game plan for you, just like we do for the pros. Visit us at henryford.com/sports.
Hey, baby, try it.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, several student organizations and sports teams competed in various events over the past week in the annual Homecoming Organization Competition. Events included window painting, grilled cheese competition, structure challenge, and trivia night. Teams earn points for participating and winning each of the events. This year, the winner of the 2019 Homecoming Organization Competition is women's lacrosse.
Welcome back to LTSN. Blue Devils at the Siena Heights 46 and looking to the air. That ball came out of Kolka's hand a bit awkwardly. Look at Kendall Williams climb the ladder, but landed out of bounds. Feeling some vertical on display there, but just out of bounds. That sets up second. Well, it will now be third and long here.
Yeah, a lot of great individual efforts right now by the Blue Devils, but it's tough when you do have those stars shining in. When not a lot of them are clicking together as a team, that could be a problem here. You've seen the Blue Devils, they do get points on the board. We mentioned before, it is tough against this Siena Heights defense, really, to even get a score up there. So that's one key thing that the Blue Devils strive for in this one. But right now, it's going to be tough to climb back out of this one.
Kolka with the pocket collapsing, once again too tall for Marquez Steele this time. The intended target, pressure was in the backfield, making his presence felt today back there. Wyatt Gardaki and Andrew Lurie, a couple of guys that we expected to see make their presence felt in the backfield. They forced another fourth down punt here for the LTU offense.
That pass a little bit forced there. There was pressure, but Kolka had a little bit more time to try to fine tune and get it at least within the hands of the receiver.
That'll set up Brad Gibson back to punt. Set to return this one, Gabe Callery. Had a 79-yard fumble return on the opening drive of the game last week for Taylor. Callery picks up a fumble that was forced by Trayvon Claiborne. Took it back on a scoop and score to open things up. It was an auspicious start and an excellent ending to that game for Siena Heights. More of the same today. Siena Heights team, group that's at 5-1. In the last few years, you go back to 2015-16 when this senior class arrived in 2016-17. It was a program that felt like it was stuck in a 5-5 range. They went 5-5 the first year of the senior class, 5-5 the next year, but then last season took off with that 7-3 year, program record 7 wins. And now they have set their sights on what could be a special season this year. It has been. Looking to improve to 6-1 with a win today, up 28-6 and comfortable in this fourth quarter, anchored by the #1 defense in the conference. But an offense for the second consecutive week that has really showed the potential that it could have down the road as the importance continues to rise in their season with the ranked opponents 2 out of the next 3 weeks. Next week they'll have number 7, St. Francis of Indiana. It was a key today to not overlook this 1-4 Lawrence Tech team, and they really haven't.
Talking about Siena Heights history and just how they've really built up their team, their core throughout the years, 5-5, and then last year the 7-3 and 5-1 right now, and maybe that's exactly what the Blue Devils have to do. Not a rebuild type of mentality, but just slowly start off. I mean, it's a roller coaster type of division, league, and game, and the only way you experience the highs is if you experience the lows, and battling through it and working through it as a team is the only way to get to where you want to be at the end of the day, and that's at the top of the mountain.
This time, next back to pass on 3rd and 7. A lot of time, and he has a man. It's Marquise Robinson down to the 40-yard line of Lawrence Tech on a gain of 27.
And that's tough when you have the QB running around trying to look for a pass, and you just lose the coverage there for a split second. The receiver gets in front of you, and that's all you need as body positioning right there, able to catch the ball, and a big gain for the Saints.
Next, sophomore out of Cincinnati looking for his man again, Robinson. He has him again, this time to the 10. Tack on 30 more.
First down, Siena Heights.
Griffith there trying to guard Robinson, but once again, getting time and space, blows right by him, and not even pressured there when he had to make that catch. 2 big plays in quick fashion.
Young DBs have really been tested today. The Blue Devils going up against this experienced Siena Heights team. It's a junior and senior laden group, and those guys have really performed this afternoon. Tyler Neck, the sophomore, redshirt sophomore, who they said the redshirt year really helps him out, has been sufficient, he has been efficient, and he has been excellent. Now 15 of 21, that's his 3rd touchdown pass in the game, and the Saints eclipse the 30 mark for the 2nd consecutive week. 34-6 now.
Saints right there targeting another freshman DB, Broden, as he kind of stepped on his own laces, tumbled down, and that creates the space needed to get that TD.
Once again, keeping up with that youthful theme. You have Clark Broden, who is a guy who they're really high on. He's shown a lot of potential. Got off to an auspicious start to his career. 4 tackles in game 1 and the interception in game 2. But naturally, with a young group like this, you have these rocky up and down hurdles, and they can be tough to overcome, particularly at that defensive back position when you have some experienced and talented receivers on the other side with a composed quarterback and a balanced offense. 34-6 now, looking to make it 35. Next, 15 of 22, shade under 200 yards. He's thrown the ball more than usual today. 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. Balance, balance, balance. That's the word that you feel is kind of inextricably linked to this offense. It is indeed 35-6 with 12:46 to go in this second half. We'll step aside momentarily. You're watching Blue Devil football on LTSN. Welcome back to the Lawrence Tech Sports Network. Jason Ross Jr. alongside Dylan Morello, producer Kiatias, Jenna Skalski, Denver Rokan behind the camera, and down in the field, Gabe O'Neill providing your highlights today. First of a triple header on LTSN at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The men's soccer team will look to stay on track and whack play, taking on Indiana Tech. And the women's soccer team looks to improve to 7-1 on this home field, capping off the first ever triple header at the newly renovated Blue Devil Stadium, seating 2,500 people, this new grandstand on the west side of the stadium. It's been a beauty. We've had a lovely crowd today. But it has been obviously a tough opponent to go up against on your homecoming Saturday afternoon. Siena Heights team, their fans have traveled well. Adrian, Michigan is about an hour and a half south of here. And they are having a historic start to this 2019 season. Kendall Williams back to return. He's had some pretty decent ones so far. Finds the crease, finds the 40, and tripped up just shy of the 50.
The kicker had to come back and get that. Fell in there, just grabbed the ankle, but Kendall Williams, big play there. Maybe sparked something for the Blue Devils to try to get some more offense going.
They mark it at the Blue Devil 46. You see why Kendall Williams is a deep threat on this offense, where he'll get a play off here. Spencer Iaquinzo will come in. Guy who was moved to defensive back in the preseason, but he's kind of slotted back into the receiver position. That was his natural position. A guy who's approached that role with a really nice mentality. When he was switched to defensive back, Kolka just has to throw that one away. Quinto is such a cool guy, buzzing, energetic personality. Before the season, he was moved over to defensive back from receiver, and at first he was kind of like, oh, there's that initial shock that he is moving to defensive back. He kind of walked into a team meeting one day, and the offensive coordinator looked a bit sad, saying, and Spencer asked, hey, what was happening here? And the offensive coordinator told him, we're going to have to move you to defensive back because of the low numbers. And then he approached it initially with some frustration because he was making that adjustment, and he said to himself, I don't know if I can do this. But the defensive back coach, Curtis Drummond out of Michigan State, said to him, hey, you're like 2 or 3 days into this. You can do this. Just adjust, get into your rhythm. And Spencer kind of adjusts and looks at the defensive back position with the mentality of, I know the receiver position, so you're a technician on both sides. Each position, the only advantage the receiver has is that they know the route going in. But on the defensive back side of things, you can play it just as well because you are lining up with that same mentality of just being a technician. Now he comes out, and Williams comes back in. Finds Hinton, who was shaken up over the last couple of weeks. Makes his way, just a 2-yard gain there on 3rd down. You wonder what the Blue Devils do here. Nothing really to lose. Kolka looks to the sideline.
4th down.
They will stay out on 4th down. Kolka's been well protected today. Hinton, a rare drop. Might have been knocked out of his hands there by Griffin Sobar.
Definitely knocked out of the hands there. Hinton kind of juggled the last ball when he caught it, only for a gain of 2 there, and that one once again off the hands and away as he looks frustrated heading to the sideline there. So Siena Heights, another great field position once again, trying to add to this lead, extend it. They're scoring an average of 26.3 points per game. Well over that here today.
Next in the offense will have an opportunity to set up right at the 50-yard line. Low snap. Next, able to find his man King. Gain of 5 on 1st down. King with one of the 2 touchdown receptions today for this Siena Heights offense. Akeem the other. And the first 2 touchdowns came on the legs of Caleb Jefferson. Moving pretty quickly here. Jefferson with the room off the left side. Running into the wide side. Gets tripped up at the ankles by Visnov.
Andre Chenault, the ball carrier. Tackle made by Kane Dixon.
First ever meeting between Siena Heights and Lawrence Tech. Couple of big matchups around the conference today. Looking around NAIA college football, you have a top 10 matchup in this conference, in this division in particular, between number 10 Concordia and number 3 Marion. The big one with Indiana Wesleyan going for an upset bid against St. Francis of Indiana. That's who the Siena Heights team will take on next week, number 7 team in the country. Indiana Wesleyan actually number 1 in the Mid-East League right now, despite not being ranked, because they're 2-0 in conference play. So that's one of the more interesting matchups around the league today. Elsewhere nationally, number 15 Langston taking on number 17 Ottawa out of Arizona. Throwing across his body and back to the way was necked, able to find a 1st down gain with Jalen Young. Prancing his way inside the 30 and down to the 25. Ottawa is a program in Arizona, picking that discussion back up, that Lawrence Tech could kind of look at as a form of inspiration for those who don't know. LTU is a program in its first full year of reinstating football. Hadn't played competitively since 1946. So you had a 73-year hiatus as King gets another reception and breaks free for another first down. Hadn't played since 1946 competitively. This is the second season, but first full season in conference play. Ottawa program out in Arizona that's already only in its second season and already thriving as a top 25 team. Number 2 passing offense in the country entering today's top 20 matchup. And, I mean, you look at it as this inspiration. Maybe you don't get to number 15 in the country that quickly, but perhaps showing that if it's built up the right way, you can have success early. And the connection between King and Next has proven to be successful early and now into the middle frame of this season. That's the second time they've hooked up today, and for the second week in a row, Siena Heights eclipses the 40 mark.
Right there, just a clinic through the air by the Saints. 4 passes, 4 catches, the 4th a touchdown.
A little trickery here, going for 2. Ooh, couldn't quite haul that in, but 41-6. Still the spot there. Interesting call to go for 2, up 41-6 with 9:26 to go. We'll take a quick breather. We're watching Blue Devil football on LTSN. .26 to go in the 4th quarter. 41-6 the lead now for Siena Heights. Little game recap for you. Started off with a 79-yard run on the 3rd play of the game for Caleb Jefferson, who's up above 120 yards once again. Siena Heights jumped out to a 21-0 first half lead. Blue Devils answered back to open up the second half. It's 21-6, but Siena Heights, the mentality has been don't stop, just keep going, and they answered right back to make it 28-6. Since then, a couple of unanswered scores, and it's gotten out of hand now. 41-6, 9:20 to go. And this outcome kind of in the writing now, barring anything magical, down the final 9:20.
It's frustrating for the Blue Devils when their last couple of games, really, by the start or later stages of the 4th quarter, you can really tell, as you just mentioned, Jason, the outcome of the game, and that's not something that you really want to have in your reputation, but this season it has been. You want to try to get those close games, be close to winning. Besides their win, they've been trailing in most outings.
Tyler Kolko, this might be the best defense that he's seen, and maybe will see all season long. Lawrence Tech does have, guess what, the number 2 team, number 2 defense in the country next week when they travel to Marion. Scoring-wise, only allowing 7 points per game. For Siena Heights, right at the marker now, allowing 6 points per game on the season. Kolka, a guy who has a really cool story, had an opportunity to walk on at BYU out of high school, but opted to go on a 2-year mission. Has an incredible family. His brother Josh started last night for Chippewa Valley. His younger sister Olivia plays volleyball, so an athletic family. Love chatting with his dad Jim. Such a passionate family. They're passionate about this program. Kolka is definitely the guy they believe can carry it down the road here. Now a sophomore out of Clinton Township, Michigan. So intent, one of the first guys out on the field almost every Saturday. Was the first guy out there today throwing and warming up. He has such a good mentality. And when you are 1-5, which the team will most likely drop to, you need a guy with a mentality like that to stay strong and keep the troops rattled and together. His dream was always to play college football. But again today, might be the best defense that he's seen so far in his collegiate career. Out of an empty set this time. Hinton bobbling and juggling and fumbling this one down to the ground.
Hinton there, that's the 3rd pass to him. The last 3 have been hit off his hands and really looks uncomfortable right now trying to catch those passes. Don't know if the passes are really coming in too hot. Kolka kind of threw it on a platter there for him.
Hinton's family and friends at this game today, but that's been an interesting aspect individually coming into this one. He was the most notable player because he had missed the last 2 weeks. He was the player that was providing the most production in the passing game for this Lawrence Tech group and missed the last couple of games with a knee injury. He still got that brace on today. It was a highly anticipated return for him coming back, but he has been a bit rusty at times. At times he's looked good, at times dropping passes. Kolka on 3rd and 15. Coverage down the field is stout, bounces off the initial contact, then goes down. That didn't look too good. It was a hard collision, pops back up, appears to be all right.
Kolka on the keeper.
Seemed like a shoulder-to-shoulder hit there.
Yeah.
You heard the pop from up here.
Don't want that with your quarterback.
Definitely don't, but he kind of spun off a bit off of the hit and then just dropped to his knees on the field, but he's on the sideline right now just getting some attention from his own teammates, so looks to be all right.
And chatting there with his offensive lineman, Robert Florence. I think if there's one takeaway, it has to be, for the most part, how Kolka has been protected by Robert Florence and company. And his punt falls into the hands this time of Davion Pipkins. And that'll set up some pretty decent field position for the Siena Heights offense, who has had the field position advantage for most of the afternoon. We had a noon kickoff today. It's homecoming matchup for Lawrence Tech. Part of 3 homecoming matchups today here at Blue Devil Stadium. The men's soccer team will start up at 4:30, and the women's soccer team will play at 7:30, both against Indiana Tech. We'll have that right here for you on LTSN, your home for Blue Devil Athletics all year long. 8:13 to go in the 4th quarter of a game that for the most part is decided, and that's why we'll see Troy Kucha make his way in at quarterback for the first time today for Siena Heights, giving Tyler Neck a breather. And you obviously want to avoid injuries at this point in the game for Siena Heights with a big matchup coming up next week against St. Francis. Troy Kucha, the sophomore QB from Jackson, Michigan. He was 4 out of 5 earlier this season against Olivet Nazarene. Backup QB. Mentioned he was able to get some valuable reps in the early goings of this season. One of several players out of Jackson Lumen Christi High School that were recruited for this Siena Heights team. In the backfield, and seeing Siena Heights go deep in the depth chart here. That ball nearly picked off by the freshman Christian Clark Broughton in search of his 2nd interception of the season.
Broughton has had to deal with a lot of passes in his vicinity so far this game. Good to see him there, being able to swat it away.
3rd down.
Because he's been busy.
Kucha's first 3rd down throw. Rolls out of the pocket, on the move, adjusting and making the grab at the 29. They're going to say it was out of bounds. A brilliant effort that time. Kreider looking back to the football.
Great individual effort there. It seemed he got one foot kind of in, the other and the rest of his body out of bounds, but good individual play showing his skill.
Back-to-back 40-point efforts for this Siena Heights offense. They'll punt it away here. For just the 4th time today, coming off their 2nd shutout of the season. It was 42-zip over Taylor last week. First one was a bit different, not as much offense, but if you're a fan of old school, rugged football, possession football, then you love that 6-0 win they had over Robert Morris back in week 2. That's when this defense really announced itself to the country as one of the best, and they'll continue statistically to be one of the best after this one. 6 weeks into the season now, just allowing 6.3 points per game, and right at that mark once again today. Tyler Kolka set back up, 7:18 to go. It's all cosmetic now. Just hoping for bright spots to pick and choose from for this young Lawrence Tech group. Jeff Duvendeck told us before the season that the inexperience would be the hurdle to try to overcome. In the first half, we saw them with a few opportunities inside of Siena Heights territory, most notably towards the end of the game. Here's Marquez Steele climbing the ladder and able to pull that down. That's an impressive grab from a guy who is linky in terms of his build, uses his height at 6'3" and makes his way up to the 32 on a gain of 11 there on first down. Promising receiver who actually came in as a quarterback this year. Was a promising quarterback, but now he's transferred over to the receiver position and might be a guy looking forward to have his potential progress. They look to him again, this time down the sideline, but just out of his reach.
Steele on that previous play was able to catch that one over the top of the defender. And Kolko was trying to get it right back to him, try to throw to the hot hands.
And we speak about bright spots, that could be one moving forward. Marquez Steele's performance. Derek Hinson returning. The offensive line for Lawrence Tech. Here's Kolka looking for Kendall Williams, able to break free downfield with broken coverage on the back end. Kendall Williams frolicking his way into the end zone.
Beautiful burst of speed by him, getting downfield in a hurry, and Kolka knows where he's at, picks his spot, leads him with the ball beautifully, not really having to stretch for it at all, right in his breadbasket, and he takes it downfield. The Blue Devils now get 2 scores on this really strong Saints defense, and that's good to see. One of the bright spots you're talking about could be scoring 2.
Well, Kendall Williams is the deep threat in this offense, and he shows why there. 41-13 now. This game kind of reminiscent of the home opener against St. Xavier. Lost that one 45-15. The late score in that game, similar to this one. Kendall Williams, a guy with a nice summer down in Florida. Really brought back up what he learned and improved on. Something to look forward to there as we look for the bright spots down the ladder here. 41-13, 6:45 to go. Blue Devils missed an extra points earlier in this game. Thus the 13-point spot. The Devils will play 3 of their final 5 at home here. Beginning to dip into the home stretch of this MSFA Mid-East League season. Really gets underway today. The final 5 opponents will all be opponents from their division. Once again, Blue Devil football, first season in the Mid-States Football Association as they go for the onside kick here. Did it clip off a Siena Heights player? It will go to Lawrence Tech.
Amazing play call there. Gibson with a beautiful onside kick, and once again, we saw in the beginning of the game off of a heel of a Blue Devil. It'll now be off of the heel of a Saints player, and LTU gets the ball right back, and exactly what they needed.
There was a penalty, false start, called against Lawrence Tech.
But actually, there'll be another penalty right when you think the Blue Devils have the momentum. Once again, it's the penalty trouble, and we get a false start call. Kind of late there, though, as you saw the excitement and everything. Probably the flag just got lost in the amount of players there on that far sideline.
Unfortunately, a play that kind of epitomized the opening half of this game for Lawrence Tech. Promising, but then a penalty takes it right back away. So that offside will negate the recovery on the onside kick. They go for it again. That time, Siena Heights able to fall on it.
tough too with that penalty. Pretty much the opposite. You can't really surprise the team anymore. They kind of figured out what was going to go on that second time around. You saw the Saints push up there, and they easily capture that one. So
Well, for the Saints offense today, they've gone to the ground more often they've gone to the air more often this week. 42 rushing attempts on 15 passing attempts last week, and they went over Taylor. Today, 19 of 27, a really nice day for Tyler Necht. Season high 4 touchdown passes and 242 through the air. And you're getting some backup, some valuable experience in Troy Kutcha. Here's the aforementioned Kutcha, handing it off to LaPresto. Had a really nice afternoon last week. Presto and Jefferson have once again combined for a whopping total. Really like to utilize the running backs in the backfield. Ethan LaPresto's a guy who they'll bring into the passing game. We've seen it today with Jefferson as well. This time last year, Ethan LaPresto was getting set for a playoff run with Reading High School that resulted in a state title at the Division VIII level. Now in his first college football season, and off to a nice start. 5:58 to go in this fourth quarter. Some reps here for the second and third units on the Siena Heights offense. There's a man that's caught a touchdown pass today, and Bianchi Abdul Hakim.
Troy Kutcha's pass complete to number 3, Bianchi Abdul Hakim. It's going to be 3rd and short for the Saints.
So set up 3rd and short for the Saints. You know, situation where, for the most part, you're thinking obvious ground. Lone victory of the season for Lawrence Tech. Came on this field 34-14 back in week 2. They might have just stopped LaPresto shy of the marker. I believe they did.
LaPresto tripped up behind the line of scrimmage.
Blue Devils did have a fourth down stop packed up in their own territory earlier in this game.
LaPresto seemed like he fell on his own accord there. Just short, but the Blue Devils catch a break. Maybe we'll be able to catch a 4th down stop here.
Looking for their second 4th down stop of the day. They fake it to LaPresto. Kutcha hit as he throws. Down the seam, Kevlon Griffith on the coverage. Pass intended that time for Timothy Brown, and the Blue Devils get the Siena Heights offense off the field.
Nice cover there by Griffith as he was trying to avoid passer interference there, and he does well. Blue Devils once again, the offense stepping onto the field. Don't have the opportunity to really play their second and third string people as they're trailing in this one opposite of the Saints.
And to add on to that, it's a team that's banged up still this week. They got Derek Hinton back. Marquez Steele has looked good. That ball thrown out of the reach of Hinton. Polka was hit late, and they might get 15 yards because of it. Curtis Maxwell still out on the offensive line. Ahmad Sabah and Tanner Foley, the 2 running backs, are the number 1 and number 2 running backs in the rotation when healthy. Still out for Lawrence Tech. Sabah, the MCL injury, potentially out for a couple more weeks. And then Foley done for the season after reoccurring neck injuries. Unfortunate to see a guy who, the last time he played here, Wisconsin Lutheran, went for a career high and had a marvelous, luminescent afternoon. Got some of their offensive linemen back that were injured earlier in the season. Robert Rose still on the sideline for Lawrence Tech. They're pretty healthy in front of Tyler Kolka, and they've looked good at times in front of Tyler Kolka today. That time kind of hit late again. This is a ball that's intercepted. I wonder if there's going to be hands to the face here, though, in the backfield. Polka kind of, after that pass was thrown, his neck moved to the right side. On the field, it's intercepted by Andrew Magari, but Polka was hit in the facial area.
And it will be a roughing the passer call there.
Personal foul, roughing the passer called against Siena Heights.
So the Blue Devils get lucky there. And now penalty trouble creeping into Siena Heights play. Might be opportunistic here for the Blue Devils, try to capitalize on it.
So what was essentially a free play moved them inside of Siena Heights territory all the way down to the 31.
Ball placed at the 32-yard line. First down, Lawrence Tech.
Kolka, tight window, he's able to find Derek Hinton. First down gain of 15.
Move the chains, because that's another Lawrence Tech first down.
And they move the chains there. Another Lawrence Tech first down back in the red zone.
Into the red zone for the second time today. They're 1 of 1, 1 touchdown. That was in the opening drive of the second half. Since then, they've been shut out. C.J. Thompson curling his way, stretching for the pylon, but just shy. Thompson has had a nice day today as well. Didn't really touch on him as a bright spot, but those two really hooking up. Ultra reliable presence. 6'4", 220 out of Alma, Michigan. A guy O'Coker can just go to as kind of a bailout when he doesn't have anyone. And C.J. Thompson will go over and get a high five from his fellow tight end, Chris McCoy. He's 6'5". Those guys have a really good relationship. And Chris McCoy not utilized as much today. They go to him more in the blocking game. And the Blue Devils noticeably going to the air more often today against this stout #1 rushing defense in the conference. They knew they had to get the passing game established. And they try to go to the run here on the goal line situation. Did they muscle their way in? Still waiting the signal. There it is.
The roar of the crowd there says it all as Kolka piles in and gets the third touchdown of the game for the Blue Devils. And once again, we mentioned how the Saints defense really, really strong, gave up no points last game, and the Blue Devils get their third score.
20 points on a team that's only allowed 6.3 a game. #1 scoring defense in the country. Another positive to maybe take away there. Didn't always show up on the scoreboard, but Dylan, I mean, a few opportunities inside the 50 where you get the ball away. 20 points today. Once again, it's the what if. Because it is all hypothetical at the end of the day, because on the field, you do have to put those points up. It can't every week be, hey, what if we didn't turn the ball over on that one occasion in the first half? Or what if we didn't, get a penalty back at our own 20? And it's those kind of mistakes that they look to clean up. Easier said than done.
There was a penalty there on the roughing the kicker. And the extra point.
That'll set the Blue Devils up to kick this one at the 50. They attempted the onside kick last time. Actually recovered it on the initial attempt, but turned out to be a penalty, offside. See if Gibson tries to throw it off again this time. They will. Bit too strong, flag goes flying late. Marquez Steele went down, another flag goes flying.
Gibson's kicker went out of bounds. Multiple flags thrown on the play.
There will certainly be one against Siena Heights here, I believe, on that late hit.
wouldn't expect frustration on the Siena Heights side. Maybe just a little bit jarring between players.
A group with a mentality of really finishing the play, finishing your effort, and I think they're maybe a little over-aggressive on the sideline. Wonder what that first call was, though. The second one should be on Siena Heights.
The first flag, I think, was thrown when the ball went out of bounds on the kick. So don't know if it's going to be a washout there, and the Blue Devils might have to re-kick it. Looks like they'll be spotting it, though, on the 35.
First penalty was the kick out of bounds by Lawrence. Second personal foul charged against Siena Heights.
So yeah, the first penalty was kicking it out of bounds on LTU, and a personal foul penalty on Siena Heights there. The second flag. Be Siena Heights ball on the 25.
At their own 25-yard line. Tyler Neck back in the
3:15 to go. Maybe Siena Heights just trying to run out this clock now. Lawrence Tech wanted to. They still have all 3 timeouts.
Neff will be back in this possession.
Last 2 possessions had gone to the backup quarterback. That was Troy Kutch.
Caleb Jefferson, the ball carrier.
Jefferson once again there, the ball carrier. He runs
Robbie Best
out of bounds. Best got the tackle, and the clock, the enemy of the Blue Devils right now, continues to eat away.
Two methodical, possession-based teams. And Siena Heights just looking to have one more final lengthy possession here. 2nd and 5, back to the ground. Caleb Jefferson mentioned he's above 100 yards on back-to-back games for the first time in his career. Really put into that starting running back position this year, and he's thrived with it as a sophomore. He has been spectacular today. They've used him out of the backfield as well, 23 yards through the air receiving-wise, and then rushing, you look at his numbers, 122 this week on the ground, 11.1 yards per carry. Opened things up with a 79-yard touchdown run on the 3rd play of the game. 11 carries, 122 for Jefferson and company, and they are in cruise control right now, just looking to wrap things up. We'll step aside momentarily on LTSN. Welcome back to LTSN. 2:20 to go in this 4th quarter. Shedding the first tackle and his way to a first down. A nice game today from Justin Carabino. His 3rd catch of the day, and it's a first down out of bounds.
Pass complete to number 14, Justin Carabino. Good for a Siena Heights first down.
Carabino just shy of 30 yards receiving today. Tyler next. 242 through the air, 4 touchdowns. Next having a fun day. Grew up with Cincinnati Bengals fans. Who hasn't had a fun time in his NFL adventure this year? Bengals at 0-6. I personally am also a Bengals fan, so I feel your pain on that, Tyler. 21 years old, 1998, born in February 14th to parents Jim and Michelle. He's had one of the better days of his young career so far. They felt that redshirt sophomore year was really valuable for him. This year felt really important coming into the season. He's had a clean game today. One of the negatives was at least one game with 4 interceptions this season. He's cleaned that up.
And 36, Brady Lawrence in on the stop for the Blue Devils.
Another ultra-efficient performance.
Second down.
His passer rating has been sky high this season. Look at the last 3 weeks coming into today. 84% last week, 66% the week before that, and 80% prior to that. Here's LaPresto. Look at him slip a tackle and find some room. LaPresto will gallop into the end zone. It's all cosmetic now, and that'll go into the highlight reel for Ethan LaPresto. They're going to say, was he just shy?
Flag on the play.
We're going to flag on the play that might bring it back.
Flag on the play, could have been a illegal block there. We saw a couple as LaPresto was running down the field.
Holding call against Siena Heights.
And it'll be actually a holding call against Siena Heights, so take that one all the way back. Could have been a nice way to end the game for the Saints with only 36 seconds left, putting the nail in the coffin of the Blue Devils, so to speak.
That negates what would have been a 60-yard touchdown run from LaPresto. .201 yards on the ground, even without that 60-yard touchdown run. Add on about 6 there. And that's the theme of the Blue Devil defense that continues to kind of struggle, allowing about 207 on the ground per game. And Siena Heights able to get right around that today. Along with continuing to do what they do well, playing solid defense. Blue Devils were able to breach that season average, though, from the Siena Heights defense, picking up 20 today. Blue Devil faithful gives a round of applause and showing their support of this group. Siena Heights fans traveled well. They love the outcome. They'll improve to 6-1, their best start in program history through 7 games. Blue Devils dropped to 1-5. They'll look to regroup and head on the road next week to take on number 3 Marion, a big matchup a week from today for Siena Heights. They'll have St. Francis on the road. Pleasure to have you with us on this homecoming Saturday. Still 2 matchups to go on LTSN. Your home for Blue Devil Athletics. LTU men's and women's soccer will follow at 4:30 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. For producer Kiatais, Jenna Skalski, Denver Rokon, Gabe O'Neill, alongside Dylan Morello, I'm Jason Ross Jr.
News, schedules, and scores all in one place.